Hello and welcome to the Captain's Table, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Paul, Berserker01, Batman Shelley, your humble host and space bartender at the AstroPub, your space bar at the end of the universe. Sit back, relax, enjoy the show. We got a good one for you. This is going on during my Pubathon, which is at the end of the month. I do these sorts of longer subathon streams. So if you're watching this after the fact, and you see that number right there. That number means that's how many hours left I have to stream. And for those of you listening, that means it's 4 hours and 17 minutes. So if Nick and Vertigo cannot extend this stream by 4 hours and 17 minutes, then we will be I will be streaming after this.
or 4 hours Captain's Table.
4 hours Captain's Table, yeah. All right, so. With that being said, I'm going to introduce our two guests today. Starting with the Sultan of Salt, the Stanton Salt Sultan, Mr. H.C. Vertigo.
The
who are
Sultan.
you? The Sultan, Mr. H.C. Vertigo. Who are you? What do you do in Star Citizen, and where can they find you?
I'm H.C. Vertigo. I do a lot of stuff in Star Citizen, things and whatnot. Mostly just kind of like just palling around Star Citizen, whatever's available, right? Done a lot of stuff. Been a streamer since 2016. These days we kind of been dipping our toes into like variety streaming a little bit. We're doing some Helldivers too on the side. Real fun game, enjoying it. Now they've fixed up some of the stuff. You can find me over at Twitch HC Vertigo, YouTube HC Vertigo on YouTube, Instagram HC Vertigo. We're not on Twitter anymore for reasons. Oh no, did my camera die?
No, you're good.
Okay.
You're good. You hear us?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay, good. Yeah, I just reset it real quickly because it was kind of glitching out. So, all right. And Nick, who are you? What do you do in Star Citizen? Where can they find you?
Hey, it's Nick. You can see me on twitch.tv/Hey, it's Nick, 2 Y's. And lately I've been playing a lot of Gravlev racing. I've been really hooked on that, so I'm excited for it to come to Arena Commander tomorrow and everything. Even joined up with a few of the Crux Cup people to start getting into racing and everything, and being like, I'm hooked. And a few people in chat I see I've bumped into and completely smoked on the racetrack, so I can't wait.
Are you excited for the deathmatch that they're bringing in?
No, I'm not. No, I'm not. Gravlet, there's I'm not gonna get into it, but there's a bad bug with collisions and weapons with Gravlev that will completely like render all control useless if you get hit by anything. And with the combat aspect being added in another game mode, that's going to be terrible unless that's fixed. So yeah. I don't think it'll be good unless that's fixed.
Hopefully it's fixed by 3.23 because it's supposed to come out in April. So
yeah. There's a massive big collision bug. It's just on the issue council. It should definitely be fixed before that comes out.
Yeah.
All right. Well, so the topic today is because we're trying to get people to come on, and Nick was like, "Hey, I'll come on," and I'm like, "What do I know Nick for doing?" And I know Nick for doing FPS, so I said, "Let's talk a little bit about FPS because there is a definite hot button issues in the FPS community of Star Citizen." And Vertigo reached out and said, "Hey, I'd like to join too." And since Vertigo also does a little bit of FPS, I figure it was a good topic. So let's start off with the kind of the current state of first-person shooting in Star Citizen as of 3.22.1. Nick, your current kind of pros and cons, the ups and downs of FPS right now.
The ups, I would say, I mean, okay, the cons.
It's really hard to say something nice when you're kind of frustrated about it.
Yeah,
I think it's a lot easier in my mind to bring up the cons because then you're left with what over, and that should be.
I mean,
good.
It looks pretty. Like everything sure does look pretty. The gun animations, the textures,
the gun
and whatnot.
animations, the reload animations, all that looks good.
Yeah.
I have no issues or quarrels with the new reload or the recall systems. I feel like that is feeling really good with the current system. So that I would say that is a good thing, is the actual recoil, the animations with that all looks good. It feels good. But when it comes to everything else, like the damage it does, the damage numbers, the time to kills, all that are just kind of that, and the I feel like there's also like a floatiness to the feel of FPS right now, and a disconnection to your the way your player is controlled. That it
I agree.
feels floaty and disconnected,
Yeah.
and it doesn't feel snappy. It doesn't feel like you're in direct control, and I feel like there's still a lot of work to be done with FPS.
Okay. Vertigo, same question, ups and downs.
I do not like the new recoil system. There's a few guns out there that don't have recoil, and some people may be using them like, oh, I don't notice it at all. The C54S Gemini SMG has no recoil. Absolutely none.
Mm-hmm.
But certain guns like the P4AR, it's like trying to shoot an earthquake. It's just your screen's just getting rattled constantly. It turns, I don't know if it's my monitor or if it's my graphic settings or something, but it turns my monitor into like a Picasso painting. It's pixels and smearing everywhere. It's like getting oil in your eyes, Vaseline or something. You wipe Vaseline in your eyeballs. I can't see shit, especially on some of the maps. Blood Ridge, I want to say. There's Blood Ridge, and there's another ground-based map that takes place in a junkyard, and they can have
that map.
The night-based maps. So if it's in the middle of the night, and the new recoil system, which causes your screen to shake like crazy, like I can't see a goddamn thing.
All that off. I have all that off. I turn all that off.
I do too. I turn all the camera shake off, but when you aim down sights and you fire your gun, it shakes your screen, and it's just like I can't see anything. So like I don't like that. I play a lot of first-person shooters, like Battlefield series, all the way since the original Battlefield 1942. I've never had a problem with their systems. Their Call of Duty, Warzone, I've played that. But for some reason, AC Boomer Vision, Eparchy says in the chat, like when they switched over from whatever they were using before to this new procedurally generated recoil system, I didn't like it at all. So I can't say the procedural recoil is good for me.
Anything else?
I mean, the good, like everything looks good, like the reloads are pretty slick when they work,
you gotta reload 3-4 times to finally get a meg in.
Yeah. A
Yeah.
lot of the stuff looks good. The animations are good. Textures are good. The effects aren't really overblown. They used to have a problem back in the day with like muzzle flash and whatnot. Muzzle flare from like the P4AR back in like 2.6, I want to say. You'd aim down sights, you fire your gun, and the muzzle flash from the gun would just wash out your sight so you couldn't see anything what you were shooting at. But CIG seemed to fix that, so that's pretty good. And there's more negatives coming. There's very little good things I can say right now, but I'm struggling to find the good things to say. But everything in Star Citizen looks really good.
Okay. I was gonna see what else.
Please have something actually good to say.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, the negative is desync still sucks.
Yep.
That's a problem. Well, I will say that in my experience, when it feels right, certain guns do feel weighty when they fire. The feel is good. It's just the aiming sucks. It feels like you're floating when you're trying to hit, and it's either too easy or too hard. I'm either like scrolling like left and I go like boom, or it's like I'm scrolling like doing the kind of thing to try to like get into sight. It doesn't. There's no in between. I'm either driving a tank or it's Unreal, or Unreal Tournament.
Like Quake Arena, Unreal, Unreal Tournament. Those games.
It's just, I think, but I do think it's in a good solid base position. Like there's good bones in the FPS. It just needs to get massaged.
Strongly disagree.
Okay.
Yeah, no.
I am not enjoying the new system. I'm not enjoying the new time to kill, and I'm not enjoying the new recoil system, which means the entire game is just unenjoyable for me right now, FPS wise.
I think there's a lot of things that they try to do to change with the time to kill that might have tried to fix some bones, but it's a mangled mess still afterwards. Like there's a lot of work left to be done to get it back to like a solid restructuring of what a good base FPS should be.
See, I made a post on Spectrum over this. One of my longtime followers, Major Surge, he made a post on the Spectrum, and the official forums, I should say. And I came in here behind him, and I wanted to support him because he made an actual effort to make a concise post about here's what I don't like, here's what I did like. And a lot of the problems that Star Citizen had from 2.6 are still around, in which we have a very kind of like Unreal Tournament, kind of Quake-like movement system where you can jump, bunny hop, and leap around, spin, you aim down sights, you jump around a corner, and you can jump around again. You can keep jumping all day, forever, every day in heavy armor if you want to. I do that a lot in Star Marine because it's just a habit I've gone into playing Star Citizen. Where if you're coming up to a corner, you jump and then you turn to look around the corner. You don't do this thing where you walk up to the corner and then you peek around it because Star Citizen movement is just too fast, right? You have infinite stamina, so you can just jump all over the place.
But
you still have that. Go ahead, Nick.
No, still because it's an online game, you get peeker's advantage where there's a delay, just desync, but just natural delay of you're going to be outside of that corner before they can even see you. So running and jumping out of a corner is always going to be an advantage if the game lets you do it.
The faster you move around a corner, the more your advantage is going to be for the netcode, and for most games, right? So you still have that. Now we've raised the time to kill, right? It takes more bullets to kill somebody. And weapons have this new recoil system going on. So you got people running around, Star Marine going Sonic, right? They're just going like Sonic the Hedgehog, just as fast as they can. Everyone's running around. They're jumping all over the place. And it really came down to this one game mode they had where I think kind of encapsulated a lot that I thought was wrong with the new time to kill system. They did the single weapon elimination mode, right? With the AO3 sniper rifle. And you'd run up to somebody, you'd shoot at them, you hit them, but the sniper rifle wouldn't kill them outright. And what would happen is both players would start jumping side to side and shooting at each other. But because you can't shoot accurate when you're jumping, you're spraying, you're hoping you're getting a shot, and then it's like 2 or 3 shots to take someone out. But the thing is, you could pull out a med pen and you heal yourself after the first shot, and then it takes even more shots to kill you. And you could do that 4 times. And it was just this. It devolved into this really stupid fight where you're both jumping around, shooting at each other. You take some damage, you heal, and then and then a third person comes around the corner, and everyone's just jumping around each other, shooting, and it's just like, I hate this. I really do.
Yeah, the med pen is probably the worst aspect of that, where it's just like the speed at which it heals you back up to full health.
Yes,
it outweighs the damage that the AO3 is doing, and so then it's just like you just end up in an endless loop of like, it doesn't matter if I get shot because I'll just heal through whatever I get shot of and just keep shooting at you like I'm some sort of like Iron Man. It's so silly.
I've done that in like other game modes where people shoot at me, and then I just pull out a med pen. I just keep running, heal. Yeah. They can't kill me if you're far enough away. They can't do enough damage to you. And it's just like, I remember the days where I'd have Star Citizen employees, CIG employees, come into my chat saying, "Oh, we want a game like Arma." This isn't Arma. This is like PlanetSide 1, not PlanetSide 2. The very first PlanetSide.
It feels like a mix of nothing right now because I've referenced so many. I've played so many FPS games in my teenage years, in my 20s. I played all of them. I started in COD. Went to Battlefield. I tried Arma. I tried Squad. I played Hell Let Loose, and I've even played Milsim in Star Citizen. And it's just like, I have no idea what kind of mix of an FPS game Star Citizen is trying to be because it doesn't fit into any.
It's starting to feel like
it's
starting to feel like some of the early FPS multiplayer games from the 90s. I've played some of those, like Tribes. There was a game that it kind of feels like Section 8. If anyone's ever played that game.
Oh, I remember Section 8.
It kind of feels like Section 8. It's not nearly as fast as Section 8.
Yeah.
Or as
but
cool
Section 8 was like a lot more bouncy. Like it was that was almost unreal in terms of like how that worked.
Yeah.
But yeah.
So like I feel like CIG can make. I really wanted when CIG released the new Time to Kill. I really wanted to give it its fair shake, play it before I had an opinion. But I've played the new FPS with the new Time to Kill, the new recoil system. I have an opinion now.
Yeah.
And I don't like this stuff. It needs adjustment, in my opinion.
Okay, so let's get into the more creative mode in terms of that before we get into the 3.23. How would you fix this current problem? I'll start with you, Vertigo. How would you fix that?
I would obviously CIG wants to make Star Citizen a little bit more accessible FPS wise.
Yes.
There's a reason why Battlefield and Call of Duty have roughly this. A lot of FPS games have roughly the same amount of time to kill. You look at like PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds, Call of Duty Warzone, Call of Duty Deathmatch, the Battlefield games, all the way from like Battlefield 2 to like you kind of see everybody goes for the same level. It takes this much time to shoot at somebody, and they get a respawn, right? Because everybody you get used to that. When you start extending the engagements, you end up with goofy shit like I was talking earlier, where everyone's jumping, they're bunny hopping around each other, or guy runs around a corner, and you feel very frustrated by that. You're shooting at the guy, you get a bunch of hits on him, but he's still alive. So there's a reason why you really don't try to go against that, because you want to take what people know, what they're familiar with, and you want to kind of, like, hey, you know how Call of Duty works? Yeah, we kind of work kind of the same way. So I would say CIG kind of roll back the sponginess, the damage sponginess a little bit, and you by doing that, you kind of get rid of the med pen problem, because by the time you heal, like, you're going to be dead before you even get the med pen in your arm. That's why the previous system worked in Star Citizen, because you couldn't heal through that. I mean, you could if the person was bad, but you'd still have enough. The person shooting at you would still have enough rounds in their magazine to finish you off, even if you healed. So it didn't matter. So yeah, I'd say, like, instead of like, I can't remember what the original. I can't remember what the damage numbers were specifically originally, but I know it was like 4 bullets from the P4 AR to the head or to the chest with heavy armor was enough to take someone out, if I remember correctly. It was like 4 to the head with heavy helmet, and then 6 to the chest with heavy armor. If CIG just adds 2 bullets to that equation at like 50 meters, I think that would probably be a good way to do it. But considering how tanky everyone is, if they want to keep what it is now, they're going to have to change how the med pen works, and they're going to have to change how the movement system works. We're going to have to be less jumping and spinning. I really think they should remove the ability to spin in midair, jump and spin at the same time.
Yeah, I kind of agree with that. I think that may be an also an issue, is that, like, we do know that there's a new movement system that's coming in place that has a lot more weight, because like it's about like stop
like sliding, that's coming.
Yeah, well, I mean, sliding is different. You know what I mean, though. Like if you're moving right and you stop, and you try to switch to go to left, there's going to be a second like delay where you're going to have to like pivot your body.
I mean, look at the bright side though, Paul. Like, when that sliding patch comes out, we're finally going to have the PvP slider we've always wanted.
And slide out of the PvP.
Yeah. And I can't take responsibility for that joke, because that joke was told by someone in chat by the name of Slawdog.
Oh, Slawdog.
He's the one who he's the one who told me that. Yeah, he was the one that told me that years ago. He's like, Vertigo.
So strafe accelerations, and so I mean, I can't help but wonder if this is just a symptom of what a lot of stuff was wrong with Star Citizen, is that it's incomplete implementation of a bunch of stuff. So, but in the meantime, I would have no problem with them rolling back the damage system until they can get the rest of it in, because this is one of those problems, kind of like master modes, where when you add one thing and not the rest of it, it's going to completely change how the game plays. And a lot of people are going to be like, what? And so people will either learn how to play it or avoid it that way. And either way, you're going to have people who just don't test it and will either not be engaged in testing it and not give you the feedback you want, or just not bother. Just get used to it and not even give.
I mean, like, feedback. Yeah, CIG has this big underlying thing where they're going with FPS because, Squadron 42. Yeah. But the thing is, they told us with Squadron 42, by focusing on Squadron, they're going to have more stuff that's holistic, and they're going to deliver that stuff to us, right? But this doesn't feel like it's whole. If this is how Squadron 42 is going to be, like, okay, that's great. It's a single person, single player first person shooter, like, whatever, just do whatever we want there. But for a multiplayer game, this feels bad. And you can say, like, oh, well, it's the netcode, Vertigo. It's kind of making things bad. So why change it right now? Why not wait for it to kind of everything to come together and then give it to everybody?
Well, and that's a good point. Like, there's a lot of stuff that CIG was like, well, we wanted to build it all in Squadron and then bring it to Star Citizen. But, like, how many things that have been built in Squadron that are coming to Star Citizen are coming in piecemeal still? It's still coming in piecemeal, even though CIG was hoping that it wouldn't. I guess the only hope I have is that it's instead of it just them doing this system and then taking 9 months to get the rest of the parts in, that it's going to come in 3.23 rather than in 3.24 or 4.0 or whatever.
I don't think sliding is going to be like, I can't imagine sliding fixing this. Like or the Moby Glass rework fixing my problems with FPS.
Nope.
Like,
because your problem is fundamentally traversal. It's and that's what it sounds like.
Traversal and just the person on person gameplay. I have a weapon, I shoot at you, you shoot back at me. That's the loop. And movement. You combine movement in with that, it just the damage numbers, right? How the gun feels, how it feels to move around the map. And we still have the movement system for 2.6, but we have the damage. We have this new damage and resistance. I could keep going.
Yeah. Nick, was there anything you would say to change that you'd want to change?
Everything.
Everything? Just revert it? Just throw it all away?
Aspect of this FPS system, I would want to change. Yeah. I mean, I think there's a few good things I would want to keep, or at least just refactor. But there's a whole lot of like ground foundational things that feel just bad, in my opinion. And like I was saying earlier, is feeling really floaty, really feeling disconnected. I feel like they really need to get that character locomotion in and really get a responsiveness feel and really focus on like, does it actually feel like my character's doing what I want it to do immediately, or is it looking like there's so much of it, like, you know, and the biggest example is reload animation canceling. You can't do that currently. Hoping in the new state, they haven't even addressed that at CitizenCon.
Staged reloads.
Yeah, they don't do
Helldivers 2 has it where you can actually cancel a reload, and like your character drops out the magazine, right? And they're like, "Oh shit, there's a bug about to eat my face." Yeah. So the magazine's out of your gun, right? And you put your gun away, you pull out your pistol, you shoot the bug. It's like, "Oh, I gotta finish reloading my gun." So you pull your gun out, and guess what? You pull a magazine out of your pouch and you put it into your gun. Star Citizen doesn't do that. Like, you have to wait for the animation to complete entirely before you get control of your character. You can't even sprint while you're reloading.
I would like to say with chat, Slawdog saying, yes, you can if you melee. That's a workaround. I
didn't even know that. I didn't know melees could cancel the reload.
That's a workaround. That's not an actual animation reload cancellation. That's a workaround to force it to cancel. But that's not the actual reload animation canceling that I choose to do. Like, I want it to stop. And it's just like, it's one of those things where it's just like, I shouldn't have to do workarounds to have a good experience. That's be a good experience.
That's also not mentioning the problems of, like, which has plagued Star Citizen forever, which is you reload and you don't actually fucking reload. You do the full information and then you put in an empty magazine again.
I had one, Paul,
and then have to do it again. Yeah,
Paul, I had one where it actually did a reload and then it went back to my old magazine. It actually said, I reloaded a Karna plasma assault rifle. It said I had 30 rounds into it. I came around a corner, pew, one shot. I look at it was 0.
Yeah.
It actually gave me my old magazine back, and that's a netcode problem. That is also another foundational problem with
desync,
FPS and Star Citizen, is the desync and just netcode just having this old timers disease where it just kind of forgets to do stuff.
Yeah, netcode stuff I'm leaving until their server meshing techs in and their servers get a whole rework before I harp more on that. But it is bad. It definitely needs to improve, but that is being worked on. That is definitely not something that's just like, we don't know what the next steps are for that. We know the roadmap for that one. But with the FPS stuff, we don't know, outside of like we don't know what their plan is to actually, like, what their final vision for FPS is. At first I thought it was like a light milsim light,
Arma.
Like a bit lighter to be more of a milsim light, but to have some fun elements, like it'd be a fun milsim, like sort of like I would picture it like a Rainbow Six Siege.
That's exactly what I was going to say. That was their original
Rainbow Six Siege. I feel like is exactly the kind of like gunplay and feel I feel like Star Citizen was going for the longest time until CitizenCon, the last CitizenCon, and then I was like, I don't know what you guys are even trying to aim for with an FPS way, because I don't know if you're trying to be different for the sake of being different, but none of this is feeling good. This isn't the FPS experience I first got into Star Citizen for, and the time to kill changes made it absolutely definitely not an FPS experience I wanted to partake or play in, and it's just like there's fundamentally just not bad game design, but bad game design choices being made for what they're doing and for what they've said in the past for 9 years with FPS, and then now just being like, we're flipping the script on everything.
I mean, you end up with that. What is that, like? Not made here kind of mentality where CIG feels like they have to redo. Have to reinvent the wheel because we're going to do it better, and because it's our wheel that we're making, right? And that's kind of how I feel. Like we have to do something different because we can't do what everyone else has done because that's too familiar, that's too safe. We have to like push new boundaries, and I don't like if they wanted to like slow everything down, make our characters actually, because you could do that. You could actually make our characters feel more weighty. You could have a higher time to kill. Take away our ability to jump and spin in midair when we jump. Take that away. That could be an identity for your game. Not many people enjoy that kind of game because everybody kind of gravitates to Call of Duty. I mean, one thing I have to give towards, the developers of Call of Duty, Treyarch, and I can't remember who the other company is. Anybody?
There's Treyarch, Sledgehammer Games.
Sledgehammer.
Yeah, Treyarch, Sledgehammer,
Ward.
and Infinity Ward. Yeah.
Infinity Ward. That's the other one I was thinking of. So DICE, game developers like DICE, Treyarch, Infinity Ward, even Bungie with Destiny, they put a lot of time in figuring out the moment-to-moment gameplay. Moving your character around, shooting at other people, what's fun, what's not fun, how long you should be in an engagement with somebody before you get bored. They put a lot of thought into that, and those games work. The minute to minute. Running around the map, shooting the gun deathmatch.
Until you're bumping into another player, and when I designed an FPS, I've designed an FPS game that was almost approved to be developed by Microsoft. Almost, when I worked at a game studio.
Yeah.
So I'm not a stranger to designing and pitching and actually making FPS games. My college project was an FPS MOBA that was working online and everything. I made an FPS MOBA for my college project, and the school didn't even mention anything on networking. I just did it purely with myself
because you're crazy.
I wanted to make an FPS online game. Yes, I am crazy, and that's what I did. And the school was like, "Hey, do you want to take this to shows to show people?" So they used my own project to promote the school and everything. But when I look at the design of the FPS, right, and it's just like I literally, when we were looking at the design of FPS, of the FPS I was pitching and everything, it was, we had everything written down on at least like, this is where we're going with this, how we want this FPS to feel. This is how we want, this is how the times we are. This is how fast we want things to be. This is how slow we want things to be. Like we sort of like the master modes, we kind of put every class, kind of separated the guns into separate classes, and we're like, this is how fast a generic pistol should be around this ballpark, how fast an SMG should be in this ballpark, and we kind of all balance it around, like, it doesn't matter as long as like they're all killing someone within this amount of time, it's good, but like they should all be aiming to be within this amount of time if you're a skilled person. And it's just like, I feel like that is just out of the window with the current FPS with Star Citizen. I feel like the DPS is not consistent. I mean, it's not balanced in any way, sort of like that, where you're gonna have the same time to kill. Like, like should it take 5 seconds for a sniper rifle to kill, but it takes 5 seconds to reload and get your scopes back on site, but then 5 seconds of dumping megs by a pistol to down someone? I mean, that's the kind of the DPS numbers I'm kind of thinking of, and they're just not making sense with Star Citizen at all.
Oh, it's like
not even a PV. This also isn't a PvP issue because yesterday I had I had a brand new player to the game who point blank shot a NPC in the face with a shotgun. And they've done a lot of work with the shotgun to improve its damage characteristics in 3.22, and so it's improved. Didn't die.
Shotguns are bad. They've been bad for a long time.
Apparently, in 3.22, apparently they got an overhaul that improved a lot of it in close range, especially against NPCs. But then now with the changes in damage, it doesn't matter. And then apparently the next time he pulled out his LMG, the F-55, I think it was, or and mag dumped it into its chest, and then it died. So a single normal NPC requires you to mag dump an entire light machine gun to kill them.
Yeah,
that's a problem.
It makes no sense. It makes no sense. And
Here's the thing. Hold on, Nick, please. So they have boss style NPCs that essentially look almost exactly the same as normal NPCs, and companies like Valve understand this issue was something how to identify different characters just from their silhouettes. And I think I've mentioned this before. What's the difference between a guy in heavy armor versus another guy in heavy armor, right? And you have this, you see this in like Siege of Orison, where you have the boss NPCs that come out. They just have like 10 times more health than every other NPC, but they're in heavy armor, right? But it's a different style of heavy armor.
Yeah, their armor is very unique. I feel like they did do only Siege of Orison a little bit better to differentiate the silhouette, because they are wearing different helmets, but
still,
you can only get those helmets if you kill them.
You don't get the, like, games like Cyberpunk or games like Skyrim, or I'm trying to think of another game that does this. Games that have like kind of RPG like systems, they'll put that little skull above the enemy's head to let you know they're 10 levels ahead of you or something. They're dangerous. We don't have that in Star Citizen, where you just have like an enemy with like this, skull icon above their head, let them know that they're going to be tougher.
Yeah, and there's no voice lines or anything. There's no
voice lines. It feels like you need that.
This is the guy I should be threatened by, or like, like what if the other NPCs were like, the boss is coming, and then you hear like, okay, who's ruining this place? Then you kind of get an idea of, oh, he's the boss, but NPCs are dumb and don't say anything.
Yeah. So there's no indication. There's really no just looking at an NPC. If you're new to Star Citizen, like Paul said, and you just walk into a bunker and you're not familiar with it, you just accept a random mission. And you walk into a bunker, you kill 10 NPCs, and they're like, hey, the boss is coming. And it's like, okay, cool. These guys were pushovers, and this guy was wearing heavy armor, it looked like. He was very chunky. And the guy pops out of here, and he's like, oh, he looks kind of like the guy I just killed, the last guy I killed. So you start shooting at him, shoot him, and it's something you have to reload and shoot him some more. It's like, the hell is that? What kind of game is this? And it goes back to like Star Citizen just being kind of inconsistent sometimes. Like, ship gameplay. We could talk about this. Like, the AI ships are actually weaker than player ships, like substantially weaker. Like, you go do like an NPC bounty mission. You see a caterpillar spawn. You shoot the caterpillar. It's like, oh wow, that was pretty easy. And then you see a player caterpillar. Like, oh, I remember killing that thing. Right, that ship. Yeah, last mission that was really easy to kill. I'm gonna kill this one now because it's a player.
Now
it's gonna be good fun.
Different.
And it's way more tanky. And it's just like consistency, right?
Yeah, there's also a few bugs though with the ships where it's just like the Cullises and the Retaliators were the two ones that really stood out, where you'd get a bugged one and they'd just take forever to die.
They fixed that invulnerable. The entire front of the Cutlass was invulnerable. You had to like shoot the back end of the Cutlass, but when you target a ship, all the bullets go to the exact center of the ship, or they try to send all the bullets to the exact center of the ship. On the Cutlass, it tends to be biased forward a little bit.
Yeah. Because when you shoot the back, you actually are hitting the front shield for some reason. I don't know how that works. That's been a problem since Star Citizen, since Arena Commander 0.8. It's been a problem. All right, so we've talked about the absolute state of FPS in Star Citizen and how it's a dumpster fire. How it's a dumpster fire behind a skeezy strip club that's burning used condoms and week old wings.
People had fun at it at some point, but now it's just you stay away from it.
Well, and I would also like to say, because there's people we're talking about in chat that were saying, like, I don't know how server meshing is going to improve FPS. Desync. It won't. That's not the point. The point.
I can tell you exactly what's going to improve desync in Star Citizen. Beta.
What's that? Beta.
Yeah, beta. When CIG stops. When CIG stops adding new features that disrupt the ecosystem.
Jeez, this is genius.
Yeah.
You just gotta get the beta, and then it will be fixed.
CIG. The worst part about this whole thing is that in 2020, CIG came out and said, we know how to fix the desync. We understand there's different types of desync, and the types of players are reporting, we know how to fix it. The problem is that the bandwidth of the people who would be fixing the desync are working on server meshing.
Yeah.
So we have to get server meshing done, and then we can get those people to go work on it.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's
That was 4 years ago, and it's gotten worse.
Yeah.
Server meshing
So
still isn't out. I think it's only worse because they haven't been working on it. And
They
they've been
haven't
adding
been.
new and new things. And
Yeah.
it's just kind of been like,
Technically, all the stuff that they've added, like the object container streaming, the blind net culling,
Yeah.
blind culling, whatever that is, all that stuff is like a pillar of server that supports the overall technology called server meshing, right? They kind of need all that stuff.
yeah,
So they have been working on server meshing this entire time, but
it
they've been
just
taking
doesn't
their
address
sweet
the
time.
issues directly,
Yeah.
but it will let them, at least when they're done that, to at least start working on smoothing those
Yeah.
issues out.
so
Exactly.
that's when we say stuff like server meshing. We're not talking about server meshing directly. We're talking about the bandwidth and support for server meshing is sucking up resources for things like fixing those problems that we've been having for a long time.
And the problem with that though is like this happens in a lot of Star Citizen patches. We talk about like the 3 digits, right? The first digit that's of the patch known as your major. The second digit, which is usually a 2-digit number,
Yeah,
it's like your minor, and then you have like a hotfix, the 3rd digit. Usually, what happens when CIG patches to the 3rd digit in their release, it's usually a patch of a patch. They don't draw new experimental features from the developers to put in, because that's usually very disruptive. Like a 3.18. 3.18 was just horrible because that was like their first replication layer patch, right? First time we got replication layer. And nobody could log in because it was very disruptive. It was experimental. They tested it on their end. It seemed to work, and then they released it to live, and it didn't work because we beat the shit out of their login service.
oh yeah,
And we as the player base, exposed a whole host of vulnerabilities when we tried to log in all at once.
Mm-hmm.
And that's kind of how it is in an alpha.
318
So
viewership numbers were crazy. And
Yeah.
yeah,
it happened, and it's just like, ugh.
yeah,
I know.
Oh yeah,
and so when CIG patches for the 3rd digit in the release, they're taking a patch that already exists and they're taking their duct tape. Well, I have some electrical tape here. So they're taking their electrical tape, they're taking their duct tape, right? And they're taping stuff together so it kind of works, and you can kind of do stuff, right? That's what they're doing. And then when you have another major patch release, all those duct tape and bubblegum fixes they have are out the door because it was just for that patch that they fixed stuff. Sometimes they to improve stability, they literally turn something off on the back end.
Yeah,
They're like,
that's how they fix things.
Yeah.
They fix things by
this
making
isn't
the thing that not happening, like distortion damage. They turned off distortion damage. Why? Because they just don't have a fix for it, so they just prevent it from you firing it. So, all right, I'm going to step away for a few seconds, but Nick, I'm going to start with you on this one. Based off of our current look at 3.23, what are some of your highlights and lows for 3.23? I'll be right back.
Oh, I am
For FPS.
Yeah, I know an FPS. I know it. I actually need to refresh myself on the roadmap with exactly FPS stuff is coming in exactly 2.3. I'm loading that up.
How about if I
right
talk
now.
real quick? I'm gonna usurp next time while he goes refreshes himself up. So a lot of what 3.23 is going to come in with is going to be quality of life stuff. New UI elements for like your visor and your HUD for just walking around. That's coming. Mobi-Glass, star map, maps for all the ships. So you're going to look at the upper right-hand corner of your screen or upper left-hand corner of your screen, wherever they put it, and you're going to have like a map, a little mini map, so you don't get lost so easily. And I can't remember what other stuff's coming after that, but
that
Nick, you're probably looking through.
Seems to be it for things that are going to be affecting us with the FPS gameplay, which really doesn't address any of the issues we've had and stated about what FPS systems are. So I'm looking forward to the EVA2 T2. That will definitely be a much better experience to go and FPS. Inside zero G.
I think I talked about it on the last one, but I really want CIG to make it so you don't get spun around so much when you run into things. I don't know if that's going to come with EVA 2.0.
That's supposed to fix it.
Okay.
Allegedly. We're not supposed to be bumping into it. Things that's a thing we won't know until we see. But it looks like it's just going to be a lot more, or maybe that might not be fixed until the actual grabby hands are on the surfaces.
Yeah. How about this next? How about looting?
Looting.
How about the
loot screen? I don't know. I don't think that's going to improve looting. But outside of that, I don't really think that's going to improve the FPS gameplay of things.
I mean,
it'll definitely make it easier to It'll make it easier and quicker to actually. I mean, I don't even really mind looting in first person. If I could just get a hotkey to click on somebody and get into the inventory loot screen, I just shift click what I want and what I don't want, and I'm done. Like, to me, that's really fast. If I could just get a quick instant, like if I could just bind the F to just be an automatic loot an enemy or loot a body that I'm looking at, I mean, I would be fine with just the inventory work.
Honestly, I never really had much of a problem with the looting in Star Citizen, like the current system we have right now. Mostly it's just like unresponsiveness, or just the enemies just don't have anything that's interesting on them. I usually just want like the medipen on their hip, or I want their ammo, or maybe if I need a gun, I want the gun off their hands.
It is annoying to legs and backpacks when you're in the inventory system view, but so I'm interested to see how the FPS loot screen will consolidate if it will consolidate all the items that are on them, or we'll actually have to go and look into backpacks and whatnot for ammo and stuff, or if it'll actually include all that stuff as well.
I kind of like I have to throw this at Tarkov. Tarkov actually has a pretty good loot screen in my opinion. Like I like how Tarkov, like you look at somebody and then it has like the containers, you search the containers, you hear this like little searching noise, and then you start revealing what you found. I think that would be a good system for Star Citizen, if but
it's kind of what we already have. That's very similar to what we have now.
Yeah, but with no little spinning wheels and loading screens
because you have to right click on your shirt on the chest, and you have to hit loot or open, and then it has to open up the chest and that kind of stuff.
You have to, or there's actually a little icon to the lower left that you don't know. You click this tiny little icon on your screen, and it actually opens up in a new tab. I don't like the tabs all that much. That starts, it kind of expands it, and you have to have the little scroll bar on this right-hand side. You have to scroll up and down to get through all the tabs. That's why I say I like Tarkov. Tarkov is all on one screen. There's no scrolling through the whole damn thing unless you're back at your base, I believe.
Yeah, I'm gonna love the visor and lens HUD rework though coming in 323, because we should be getting finally a compass with FPS, and that's
what are you talking about? Don't we already have one?
Not FPS.
Not with FPS.
Okay.
We have it with gunners. Gunners on ships have them.
Yeah, but those compasses aren't actual compasses. Those are just to zero your
heading indicators
and your headings for your turret. That's not a compass.
Yeah,
that's just your heading.
The cockpit also has a heading indicator as well.
Not that I know of.
And really in space for any sort of heading is you have towards the sun, towards the star, and away from the star.
Yeah,
that's the only headings you really have to care about in space.
Yeah, but again, you're gonna have a compass in FPS, so when you're actually on a planet side, you're gonna actually know which direction you're going in.
Yes.
Which direction you need to keep going in for another location. So, and that should also translate to being able to have a compass on ground vehicles.
Yes.
And
and nobody realizes how important this is. Tell them how important it is, Nick. For people who do racing or travel long distances.
Imagine being able to just do the Daymar rally without needing a support ship to show you where you're going.
Exactly.
It's so much better.
I have gone 60 kilometers in Star Citizen from one base to another that are like right next to each other. It is so easy to get lost.
I have successfully done a full solo run of the Daymar rally without anyone.
Oh God. I've done it too. Well, not Daymar rally.
Just my compass and the star map and its shitty current state, and I would manage to do the full Daymar rally run without any.
Let me tell everybody just how you have to do it in Star Citizen without a compass. You basically have to start driving. You get into your vehicle, you start driving. Actually, no. You open up your star map and you click on an outpost you want to go to.
Yeah, you check your distance.
Now check your distance. You get in your vehicle, you start driving, you open your star map, and you check your distance. If the number is going down, you're getting closer, so you're heading the right direction.
I took it a step further and actually started using the actual stars in the sky.
Oh God!
To determine where I was going.
That's the North Star over there.
It was actually working.
You can navigate via stars in Star Citizen.
I was actually I just gotta keep that star pointed right there, and we're just heading that direction based on the star map. And I'm just like, oh, we're good. We're good.
It is so frustrating to drive.
It worked, but it took forever to do it, and it's not an experience I'd recommend anybody do. But the fact that we are getting FPS HUDs with compasses, and that should hopefully translate to it being on you when you're on a ground vehicle was going to be
not just ground
really
vehicles,
great.
but even on foot. Like I've gotten lost on foot. Like back when turrets used to be like double up, you couldn't destroy them. You'd have to land a certain distance away from the outpost and like either drive in or walk in. There were times like you're walking around and it's like, where am I? Where's the thing? I have to climb this hill over here, and it's just like to get onto high ground to see where the base is, and it's just like, oh, I was a little off. I needed to turn 20 degrees and head that way to the base.
Oh,
and it was like 2-kilometer walk I was doing, and I got lost a little bit.
Yeah, the also other big massive FPS thing that's coming is the dynamic crosshair too, which
I am so nonplussed about.
Let's save the discussion because I do want to talk about
for later?
That's a later one because it's a spicy one.
Section.
That's a dedicated section.
Okay, I'll move on.
Yeah, that is 100% something we will talk about when we get to it. I hadn't, maybe because we've been streaming so long, I haven't realized like we've already been streaming for 45 minutes. We just got on 3.23. Yep. I will just kind of quick jump in and say that like the one thing I am excited about with the visor and HUD update is that you now can tell how much noise you're making. So like the center of that HUD, which is like your cross section on ships, it's your noisemaker. So you can actually like as you move it, it'll go up, and then as you stop, it'll slow back down. So it's a stealth meter. You have a stealth meter in your on your HUD now. I'm like, oh, that's kind of cool. I like that because it'll actually let you at least know how loud you are. Because I think a lot of people don't realize just like how fucking loud you are when you tromp around like at full speed. Like the thing's just gonna go like all the way to the end.
You should be really loud if you're in heavy armor. You should just be clopping all over the place. You should sound like a herd of bulls.
You should be wanting to do infiltration missions with light things, with not a bunch of heavy metal things clanking about. But
your light armor should be like leather and padded cloth and whatnot. That's what light armor should be mostly. But that's stealth.
But that's great because now you actually can see a visual indicator of those sorts of things happening, which is a nice because there's a lot of gameplay is also training the players to how to play your game.
Because we're stupid.
Because players are stupid, and players will also fall into routines. Like if you try to do a map, like how do you move your character in a video game? What controls do you use to move your character in a video game? Everyone has
mouse and keyboard.
Well, not just mouse and keyboard. Like what buttons do you push to move move a character around?
PL semicolon apostrophe.
It's WASD.
No, it's not, Paul. Like you can see how you could see it on my keyboard right here. This is where I put my hand. I can't because I don't have the cord, but I can swear if I could I'll print screen. I'll show you my movement keys in Star Citizen. It's PL semicolon apostrophe. What is this WASD?
But like everyone has those, right? So you either have to use the same key, like loadout that everyone already has, or you have to train players on how you do it differently. Yeah. And having a visual is a nice indicator of like, okay, this is how much noise you're making, so oh, heavy armor, womp, light armor. Little bounce.
Or we do like I said earlier. You rip off tropes from other games in the same genre, and then everybody just like, oh, it's like Call of Duty, or it's like Battlefield.
Yeah.
But then again, the problem is with stealth games are a niche genre.
Yes.
Yep. But I love Splinter Cell though. It's such a good.
Yes.
Anyways, I'll say that's the only thing I'm really looking forward to because everything else I'm just we have to talk about it. So Vertigo, what are you looking forward to and or concerned about other than the dynamic crosshair?
Freight elevators. Let's talk about freight elevators and how hard it's going to be
for FPS
stuff. FPS. It has a hook in.
Okay.
Yes. So freight elevators.
I need to hear this hook in.
So, we're going to... everybody's talking about the very basic stuff, right? The vanilla stuff. Let's talk about freight elevators and how it's going to affect your FPS gameplay. Star Citizen is a game that rewards preparation, correct? Mm-hmm. If we're going to do anything in first-person shooting, we have to equip ourselves. So, freight elevators, I'm assuming Chris Roberts wants us to be a little bit like Minecraft or Ark, or what's that other one? Not besides Ark. That's very popular. The one with the dinosaurs, or is Ark the one with the dinosaurs?
Ark is the one with the dinosaurs.
There's another one, Rust. Rust. Yes, the other ones I'm thinking is Rust. Rust and Arc. So in Rust, you build a base, you have chests, which have stuff in the chests, right? Same with Minecraft. You build a base, you build chests, you put stuff in the chests. Star Citizen, you're going to have a persistent hangar. Where are you going to store your stuff? We already have the places for storing your stuff right now. It's in those boxes you can buy. Yeah, the containers. You're going to buy the containers. You're going to put stuff in the containers. You're going to store those containers in your ship, or you're going to store those containers in your persistent hangar. And if you want that stuff to come out, you're going to have to call it out on your freight elevator, which means you're going to have to be able to label your container, or you have to have specifically sized containers that contain certain stuff. It's not going to be as good like it's going to be now, where you just open up your inventory and you just start dragging stuff to your character, right?
Mm-hmm.
You're going to have to get the container out. You're going to have to drag stuff out of the container to your character, or you're going to have to.
I don't want that.
Here's the thing. I'm waiting for Vertigo to finish because I'm about to tell him that he's wrong.
Okay, Paul, tell me I'm wrong.
They actually announced a new feature called the item kiosk, which is designed to store and retrieve FPS items.
It's gonna be like an item bank from like World of Warcraft. Yeah,
exactly. So what you do is you go to a kiosk and you say, "I want this," and you just pull it straight out, so you get it right away.
What's the limitations of that?
Hold on. I already can see how this is gonna work. This is Chris Roberts we're talking about. So it's gonna be like Jumptown, where there's an orifice next to the bank that's gonna spit your item out in a box.
Yeah. Probably.
Right? It's a piece of it's going to come out. You're going to pick it up, and what are you going to do with it? You're going to put it on, or you're going to carry it to your hangar, and you have to put it to a box in your hangar.
Or you can go into the box and pull everything out and put it on like you can. No. That's not going to change.
No. Your armor piece that you get is going to be It's going to be a chest piece, right?
Yeah.
And it's going to come out in a box. It's just going to be that chest piece. And what are you going to do with it, Paul? Unless we're going to do like Death Stranding, where you have like a backpack that has a bunch of boxes stacked up to the ceiling.
Don't give Chris ideas.
Like he's gonna. Oh God, Chris. So I think freight elevators is going to fundamentally change. Persistent hangars and freight elevators is going to fundamentally change how we prepare for our gaming session.
Yeah. Well, this is where things get really confusing, because you know what that reminds me of?
Go for it.
Arma. Mm-hmm. That is exactly how Arma works. You go to a place, you pull, like, usually there's like an operation. They usually have like a big crate, which you go through and has a list. It usually has a list of all of the weapons and armor that you have available. You pull it out, you put it on, you load it up, you get all your ammo ready. Everyone in your group does. Then the vehicles get dragged out, and then you get ready and you start operating. It's usually a good minimum 20 minutes, if not hour plus, to get everyone ready for an op, and then you do the op, and then everything goes crazy and tits up, and you have to keep doing it. But like, yeah, that's that feels like that. But then again, when we'll go back to that conversation we're having about FPS now, you have Arma prep time with this Frankenstein's monster of an FPS system, which is worse than it's ever been in before, despite being updated and changed.
Now, CIG could probably mitigate that by giving us like the current inventory system we have right now inside our persistent hangars, so you can kind of drag stuff around the hangar or through the box. You just walk up to the box, you have like a big, and then you can go into the ship and do that. But I'm really imagining Chris is going to want it to be as tactile and physical as possible. You're going to have to put stuff inside the box, and then you're either going to have to drag the box into the ship and then start taking stuff out of the box and then loading up into the suit lockers. A lot of ships have suit lockers.
Oh, so there's no very confirmation on how that kiosk is going to work. Is it just doing your own personal loadout on your body? So how are you supposed to manage and prep for extra ammo, extra reloads, extra rearms? Say I'm going at my Carrack and I'm ready to do, like, we're going to do all the big bunkers. So I got my respawn set. I got all my respawn like loadouts loaded up on my Carrack. How's that going to work? Am I going to be able to do all that with my item kiosk? I'm actually going to do
imagine
what Vertigo is doing and load up boxes upon boxes and do all this damn prep just so I can go out instead of just clicking on items I want.
I would imagine that it would deliver like the item kiosk. You'd go and you click on all the items you want to claim at that location, right? And then you click the claim button, and then it comes in one big package, big box inside your personal hangar or wherever you your hangar or wherever freight elevator is.
The way it's supposed to work.
It does look like it has a little dispenser on the bottom of the kiosk.
It looks like there's I have to look at it again, but my guesses would be would like Vertigo is right that it would come out as a box, but it'll come out and inside that box will have all of the stuff you requested, and you just pull it out from the box.
And it's probably gonna be like a 1 SU or a 1x2 SU box or something you can handle with like a personal tractor beam, I would imagine.
Yeah. Because this is the same way how we're going to get our sub gear back. So like when you lose your gear, your sub gear, that's how you're going to be able to claim it and return it and stuff like that. So,
no, the for those who don't know, the description of item bank, it says item bank and unique item recovery.
Yeah, it's both.
And the adding item bank kiosks to the persistent universe, allowing players to retrieve and store FP items at multiple locations. This addition will also allow players to retrieve lost account-bound items such as subscriber flip.
It's designed. So, it's CIG either internally, or has people complain in CIG internally, or people outside of CIG pointed this out because we've all pointed this out about not wanting to have to go to your hangar and call up your freight elevator and then dive through thousands of boxes to find the like one card that you're looking for.
Well, also imagine like going from Stanton to Pyro, and then you forgot like you have your armor you want or something back in Stanton.
Yeah.
How long it's going to take you to go from Pyro to Stanton, right? So instead, you could just go to the item bank recovery and just order the item be delivered to Pyro, wherever, like Ruin Station or something, and then a short timer that you could expedite for a little extra credit. You know, we need credit black holes in Star Citizen to suck money away from the player base. So
called money sinks.
Money sinks. So you have a timer, maybe 15 minutes. Like, okay, let's go do a mission while we wait for my items to be delivered. You go do a mission, you come back, and Orifice squeezes out a big box, and inside that box is all the items you wanted from Stanton in Pyro now. It's basically like the United States Postal Service.
Player-made delivery missions? What?
I like
do no.
I hope.
Oh no. That's off topic. Save that for like the Q&A session.
Is very much saying that's what you want.
Well, what he's saying is it's a mail delivery system that is just to get a timer on it without players having to deal with it.
You could have piracy. Like I wouldn't want actual physical items like through this system. I wouldn't want that to be on actual player ships. Like the player picks up a generic package and they deliver it, but it's not the actual items you ordered. And if that package gets there on time, like, ooh, yeah, the mission completed. The items are here now. But if you want to do it in your ship and you want to deliver items for other players, like, yeah, you have to actually pick up the items, put in your ships, and then you can fly to Pyro. And then like, hey, I'm here. All your items are here, guys. Let's load up. But yeah, right. I mean, you could do player deliveries right now if you wanted to. You could get one of those big boxes from the trucking center, the cargo centers, and you can put a whole bunch of stuff in that, and you can fly over to Microtech or something. You can deliver a whole bunch of armors to somebody. It's an option.
All right, so let's go into the two controversial ones. I say controversial as if we haven't been just ground pounding CIG's FPS team for the last the last 45 minutes.
I mean, there is always more to talk about.
But let's talk about the dynamic crosshairs. I'm going to give some context because there's a lot of misinformation about the dynamic crosshairs.
Dynamic crosshairs.
So, and I know Nick was watching the FPS discussion at from CitizenCon recently because he wanted to like bone up on his information. So he can correct me if I'm wrong because this isn't something I have directly watched. But how it was described, if I remember correctly, is that it'll only work on military helmets. So it's something that is restricted to a very specific type of armor. And the way it works is it will show up on your screen, and it will, I think, cone out as or kind of disperse
with the recoil,
with recoil.
With the recoil and show you the recoil spread.
It'll show you the recoil spread. So it's not something where, because there was a lot of people who said it's just a hip fire auto aim like CS:GO or like CS or like old school games where like you could just like put a dot on the thing and you'd hit it every time, which isn't really true.
It's not like that because it moves.
Yeah, because it moves. It's you can't put it on the same thing. But it's not like you pull the trigger and you're going to hit the same spot every time because of the recoil.
But if you pull the trigger, you're going to hit the spot where that cursor's on, regardless.
When the first shot,
First shot, yeah.
But if you got the recoil control and you just move it where it is, it's going to hit there.
Yeah.
Regardless. I mean,
Okay, now let's go with Nick. Nick, go for it. What are your problems with it? Because this is something that, like, I wanted to clarify it because the way it was described by a lot of people who were
you guys
panicking.
Want a dynamic crosshair in the game right now? Just go put on a laser sight.
Yeah.
It's the dumbest thing that they're putting time into, in my opinion. I have no idea why they're doing a dynamic crosshair. It makes no sense. It's no different than any other crosshair. I think you should just shoot the gun and learn your gun in the first place, besides putting on these stupid freaking crosshairs.
I agree with Nick. Like, Paul, you could just skip over me right now because Nick said everything. Like, I don't understand why CIG's wasting time on this. Like, you could just get a Sharpie and just put a dot in the center of your screen, and you have, like, instead of a dynamic crosshair, you have a fixed crosshair. My monitor that I'm looking at right now has a crosshair that I could just turn on for any FPS game I want. It's shit, but I could do it.
And the only thing that the dynamic crosshair shows is if you're going to hit something like close up. That's all it means is your bullet's going to hit like this water bottle that's in the way.
And I tell you who it's for. It's for the idiots, right? It's for idiots who don't know how to shoot their gun without a crosshair.
It's like just play the game, learn your weapon, learn the gun, get familiar with it, go to a firing range, learn how it learn how you actually shoot the gun in the game. Like, this dynamic crosshair thing is just so silly to me. It's just like how we playing FPS games without a dynamic crosshair for 50 years more.
We've been playing Star Citizen without a dynamic crosshair for several years, and no one's complained about it.
And it's just like, this is so pointless. It's not adding anything to the game. It's not adding anything. It's not enhancing any experience. It's not making it easier for new players, because if new players, they're not going to get these high-end combat helmets for the new players. And as soon as you get these high-end combat helmets in game, you should already be proficient enough with the weapon to not even need it. So, like, what's the point?
I mean, I was going to say, like, chat's like, why are they agreeing? It's like, because I think the problem is there are two opinions. There are people who are the two opinions. The two opinions are, this is stupid and it'll dumb down the game, and the other opinion is, this is stupid because no one asked for it, and no one was complaining about it.
Let me bring in a different aspect here. I am nonplussed about this because I remember playing video games before we had the ability to aim down sights.
Yeah.
Games like Half-Life.
Yeah.
Quake, Doom.
I remember Halo.
The first Counter-Strike and Counter-Strike Go only had scopes on, like, specific weapons. Everything else was fire.
Halo, the first couple Halos only had
you had two fire modes. You had scope and you had, like, hip fire. That was it.
Yeah.
And, like, for me, like, a dynamic crosshair is like, okay, whatever. We're just going back in time to, like, the 90s or the early 2000s. I don't give a shit. And I played Star Citizen for so long, I could probably hip fire someone in the head, like, maybe greater than 51% of the time.
It's not like Star Citizen is Arma or some sort of crazy system of firing for your guns. Like, if you miss the first time, if you see where you shot, you can adjust and fire the second shot and still and hit almost dead center, because the spread isn't that much. It's just the initial shot is a little off.
And the other problem here, Paul, your scenario about missing that first shot would be a bigger problem in a game like Arma, where first shot hits usually mean you're
dead.
Gonna die. Yeah. But with the new Star Citizen time to kill,
it's 4 or 5 shots. Yeah,
you can just walk your fire into somebody.
Yeah.
Right? So it doesn't matter. The first shot accuracy doesn't mean a goddamn thing in Star Citizen anymore.
Yeah, it's one of those things where I personally, like, part of me is like, I don't get this hype, or people getting mad about it, because it's just like, who cares? But then, as you all both said, it's like, who is this for?
It's for the new players who are coming in with Squadron 42 who don't know how to do FPS, but
by that time they'll figure out how to do it. Because
first-person shooter games have been without crosshairs for such a long time. Games like Battlefield don't even give you a crosshair anymore for Battlefield, right?
Look at Counter-Strike Go. That game has the most insane recoil management in a game ever that you need to learn, and it don't give you a dynamic crosshair. I think CS2 does have a dynamic crosshair built in, but CS:GO didn't. And
Yeah.
for how many years and how like it? Everyone's trained on not having one, and we don't need one. And even thinking about why you're putting one in is just like it does nothing.
I don't understand it. It feels like it feels like to me, and I said this before earlier today. It feels like this wasn't made here, kind of an idea, right?
Yeah.
We want to do something bold and different. We don't want to be like a lemming following everyone else's steps. We want to do something our own. That's what CIG is saying, right? Chris Roberts is like, we got to be different, right? We're different. We got to be different. We got to make something. Our game needs, and this happened. People complained about this with like Battlefield 4. No, it was Battlefield 3. Battlefield 3 had this weird blue filter on it. And yours we could tell it was so you could tell Battlefield 3 apart from every other contemporary FPS game. And that's what developers do. They need to, if you go look at like a Twitch thumbnail of like someone streaming a game or a YouTube thumbnail of someone doing a video on a game, you need to have something that differentiates your game from some other similar game on the market, right? So CIG sits down and thinks, okay, what features can we put in our game that makes it different from Call of Duty or makes it different from Battlefield? Dynamic crosshairs. Nobody has those. None of the mainstream FPS games have those.
Like there's
not Valorant, not. That's probably it. It's something to make them stand out from their contemporaries, and it's something that's made by CIG in house, right? It's not an idea they borrowed from someone else. Well, and everything under the sun's been done already, right?
And if anyone wants a dynamic crosshair on their gun right now,
laser
in
sight.
Game right now, go and touch the laser sight. Laser to it. That's done.
Yeah. And you know what? This is a lesson in video game development and teaching players how to play the game. If CIG is worried about players not knowing how to fire a gun, have every player gun. Every standard issue, what is it? The oh gosh, I can't remember the name of the damn thing. The
Arclight pistol.
Arclight pistol. The Arclight pistol. Every standard Arclight pistol just should have a laser pointer on it.
I don't know why we don't have that like integrated on every gun in the game. Like some of the cheaper guns shouldn't, but laser sights are not that hard to put into a gun these days.
If you wanted a dynamic crosshair, you just have a laser sight, and so you teach players how to use the laser sight, and then their baby's first gun has a dynamic crosshair on it that they can turn off when they don't need it anymore.
Yeah. And then you should turn it off because I can see where you are with that laser pointer. I'm going to come kill you.
Exactly.
Paul,
it teaches players how to play the game, which is fine, but it's not.
Makes an excellent point, Paul. Like all the military style firearms should come with like, laser sight, laser pointers on them. Super easy. I don't know. But
I mean, just with the beginners, if it's the whole thing is about letting new players learn how to play the game, and you're anticipating, well, maybe they don't know Squadron, maybe they just jumped into the game, and they've never picked up an FPS before. If that's your concern,
yeah.
Then, as Nick said, it's just a laser pointer, but you can but you can't see it. And by the time someone gets used to how where they're shooting with their gun, they can turn off their laser pointer and still fire the gun. It's still an option. It seems like there was a lot of dev time, and the only reason why we're making a stink out of this is because CIG made a big stink out about this at CitizenCon. It was I
don't understand why it's so big of a deal. Like it's so what? I've played games with dynamic crosshairs. I've played games that had fixed crosshairs. I've played games without crosshairs. Make the FPS gameplay fun. And I could deal with it.
Yeah.
Yep.
But the FPS gameplay isn't fun right now. So
the FPS gameplay is not fun, and you're trying to throw in dynamic crosshairs on top of it. It's gonna be like what's even going on with this FPS game that you're making? I don't even know.
Let's go on to the last topic, and we'll go into the question and answers. So I'll start with you on this one, Vertigo, because one of the big things they talked about with this week was for Star Citizen Live was distribution centers, and the big focus of distribution centers for the ISC was the various FPS missions which are associated with it. They said it's really designed to kind of like really highlight and evolve FPS mission gameplay
of everything Star Citizen, and you know what really pissed me off? Like fuck that discussion. You know what really pissed me off? They were talking about raids.
Yeah.
And they were like, and then the Star Citizen Live comes out. It's like, oh, we're talking about raids right now, but we don't have any plans within the next, Jerry Huckabee
2 years.
Throw that with the next 2 years. And it's like, why the fuck are you talking? I was mad. when Jared Huckabee said that. I'm like, we've had this problem with Satterball back before this. Okay, Capture the Idris.
Okay, yeah.
Capture the Idris was a game mode that Chris Roberts pulled out of his ass like 9 years ago.
For Arena Commander. Yeah.
Or for Arena Commander.
Yep.
And we've only just got it in the persistent universe. Just the development timeline for Star Citizen is just like it's geological, it's glacial, right? So CIG's talking about raids, and I'm just like, where's Theaters of War? Right? Like they talk. I just, God bless them, right? God bless these people, these fucking idiots. We had this problem. I'm mad about this. Like, I am legit mad about this because we had this problem with Chris Roberts. We had this problem with the roadmap. They'd put shit on the roadmap. People would get hyped about shit on the roadmap. Oh, that stuff's not ready to go. We have to push it to the next patch. And then people get mad, they get sad, they get upset. And then the next patch starts showing up. Okay, finally, we're going to have salvaging. And then salvaging disappears from the roadmap. And everybody gets fucking mad. And then CIG gets sad because people are mad. The fan base isn't happy. And then CIG is like, we're going to change how the roadmap's displayed because people are using it wrong. You know, those roadmap watchers, they're creating all these waves and disruptions and the energy and whatnot.
Roadmap watchers.
I know, right? Then change how you display your information, and then CIG comes out. They're like, we're going to talk about raids, but we're not working on any end-game content for the next 2 years. We're just thinking about it. We're spitballing. And I'm just like, shut the fuck up about it then, because we know what happens to the community when you just start throwing shit out there. People like us, the content creators, love to talk about this shit. I mean, I hate to call him out, Salty Mike, but he loves making YouTube videos about whatever happens in Star Citizen. And you know what it is? It's all speculation. And then people watch Salty Mike's content, or they watch someone else's content, Board Gamer or Noobifier talk about this shit, or they watch my stream, or they watch Paul's stream, and they're like, hey, what's going on with this endgame content? These raids. And then it's just like, you talk about it, and it's like, you have to fill some void of time, right? Because you're a content creator. You're supposed to create content. So you have to talk about raids. And what do? You speculate. And then the speculation goes to the spectrum. And people are like, hey, this would be a great idea for raids. CIG, what's happening with the raids? And then CIG is like, oh, we're not working on them right now. And everybody is like, what?
Oh, damn.
Damn, it's like 5 years later, CIG is like, hey, remember those raids we talk about? Yeah, we got one in the game now. And everybody's like, shut the fuck up. And it's just like, it drives me. Time is cyclical, right? Right? We're coming back. We're making these same fucking mistakes.
All right.
I will go.
I will highlight. This is funny. There's a reason. This is the reason why we call him the Sultan King, or the Salt Sultan of Stanton. Because you think Mike is salty. Vertigo has the actual king's label of salt. I have seen more salt come out of Vertigo's mouth than I've seen out of anybody else in the universe in this game.
Is it salty though to look at the past and see the nature of this kind of stuff that we do with Chris? 10 for the mistakes. That's 10 for the chairman. Chris Roberts starts throwing. Yeah, we're gonna have Tervan Kung Fu and alien languages. When are we gonna get those fucking alien languages in the game? Well, you can already speak them.
Aliens. We haven't seen
aliens. Yeah.
And it's funny. It's funny that you say all this, because I watched Star Citizen live just a couple of hours ago, and when Chris started, when Jared started talking about, it's like, well, you see, we're just theory crafting. You see, we do it too. I paused it, and I had to explain to chat. It's like, yes, Jared, we know you do it as well. The difference is that I do it, and Vertigo does it, and Nick does it, and we do it because we're making content, because we're trying to entertain people as well as trying to enjoy the video game. And fans do it because they're thinking about the game and that kind of stuff. When you do it, you are making a multi-million-dollar video game. You don't just spitball in front of your fans because they take it as gospel.
Yes.
And when you fuck up and you say, oh, well, it's not coming out this month, and you just go, well, why are people mad? It's like, because you said it was coming. You showed off a trailer at CitizenCon of a raid that was just bullshit.
Microtech. Remember that Microtech raid with the Carrack? The first time I saw the Carrack in engine? Like they drop a guy at Microtech, he goes in there, sneaks around, steals something from a Microtech bunker, and then he gets into the character, they fly off, and he was like really cold and shit. They had to Drace Arbor. They go to Pyro. There's a raid, right?
Yeah. Also, I will.
But the
I would
thing
like to
is,
say-
like, hold on 1 second. I have to talk about this. Most fans do this theory crafting stuff from an angle of love, right?
Yeah.
We love Star Citizen. We love the idea of Star Citizen becoming the thing that we want to love, right? So we like, oh, I remember this thing from Arma that I really liked. Oh, I hope we get this thing. Or this World of Warcraft raid that was really cool. I hope we get that thing in Star Citizen. So when you start talking about when developers start coming out and talking about potential in Star Citizen, it gives the fans something to bite down on, something to chew on, and they start coming up with all these cool ideas of how CIG could do it. They run off to their favorite forums, the Reddits, the official forum. They run off to Twitter, Instagram. They start making content. They start running away with that. Their imaginations take flight.
Yeah.
And then CIG's like, yeah, we're not doing anything with that, and it kind of everybody gets let down, or some people get really angry. But there's always going to be those black knights that don't like Star Citizen, the haters.
Yeah, there's always
and
gonna
they're
be
whatever. Every time CIG trips, right? Everyone's gonna be like, ha ha. Nelson from The Simpsons. They're always looking at a reason to laugh at CIG.
Something bad happens, they'll make a 15-minute compilation of every time someone says something out of context.
So that's kind of what upsets me is like you're riling up the fan base or even the anti-fan base that are still watching you, the hate watchers, right? Everybody's getting riled up, and you're nowhere near actually producing anything like that, right? Anything like a raid. Technically, Caesar Orson is a raid, so they can just point and say, like,
it should be a raid.
It should be.
That's a whole thing that I have.
Okay.
I know.
Let's. So Vertigo. Was there anything else you want to talk about with the distribution centers? Anything you want to, other than the raids?
I mean, it's just more cool places to do missions.
Mm-hmm.
I don't hate them. I think they're a cool addition to the game. Bigger facilities. You really want to kind of give that idea to the future. Like we've kind of mastered construction, so we can just build whatever the hell we want wherever we want. They talked about mixing stuff. I think a lot of people, that's kind of like one of the things that was really a hot button topic. It's always a hot button topic when PvE, player versus environment, or player versus everything, versus PvP. When those two elements, when player and player versus environment collide, that causes friction. And not a lot of people were really excited to hear CIG say that, yeah, you're going to have a PvP mission and a PvE mission collide at these distribution centers, and some people are like, I don't want that. And that's kind of Star Citizen. This is Star Citizen's thing for a long time, where you're not safe no matter where you are 100%. And that's kind of Chris. You have to realize that this is Chris Roberts' MO. This is what he wants for Star Citizen. And when you give Chris Roberts a bunch of money, you need to realize that sometimes Chris Roberts is not making a game just for you.
Yeah. Well, and that's an important part. That's something I will definitely emphasize, is that I think, especially, this is a big thing with master modes as well, is that a lot of people get upset about master modes. Well, I don't like this, and it's like, well, the issue isn't do you like it or not. The issue is it doing what CIG wants it to do? Because you're never going to like everything that CIG does, and CIG doesn't care, because CIG has an idea of what they want to do. And I think you said this a few Captain's Tables ago, where the reason why CIG has always wanted to decrease the engagement size. They wanted to have the engagement size be very close.
Draw people in, make them fight close together. Because if you go look at Chris Roberts' older games, and I did this on my stream just a little while ago, where I literally took a let's play of Wing Commander 1, 2, 3, and 4 Freelancer, and I took screenshots from each of those of combat, and I flipped through them, and and Starlancer too. I went to Starlancer. That was another Chris Roberts game, and here's average combat from these 6 games that Chris Roberts worked on. And the one thing you'll notice is the size of the enemy ship in your screen is always relatively the same size in each game. And Star Citizen, we don't have that right now. So that's, I think, what Master Mode is, trying to make your weapons
especially
on your ships.
Precision aiming. They're specifically using precision aiming just to keep a ship
in your face.
Bigger, in your face, yeah.
Same size.
Your ship,
look at the ships you worked on.
Yeah, your guns on your ship have animations. Why? If you can't see your animations from your own cockpit, why have weapons that animate? Because you're going to be close enough to the enemy ship to see the animations on their weapons.
Yeah, that's the point. And you pointed that out, and I think that's the important part, is to understand, is that this was always the plan. That was always the plan from the day one of Star Citizen's development, was that was the kind of engagement range and the kind of thing that Chris Roberts wanted.
If I remember back to like 0.8, like very first Arena Commander, we were basically that close to each other when we were shooting at people in the first Arena Commander mode, if I remember correctly. Ships are about roughly that's maybe a little bit smaller, maybe a little bit further away than like the very first Wing Commander, but you were close enough to actually kind of see the thruster effects on the ships and whatnot.
But that's the thing, is that I think a lot of people get used to how Star Citizen developed over time, but they've always tried to come back to that. So if you're like, well, I don't like close-in dogfighting, and I'd rather kind of like more engagement or faster paced, and it's like, well, that was never gonna be the plan. And
we could talk about that too, but oh man, that's a whole topic on its own.
But that's the point, is that like Star Citizen, and this is just Star Citizen, this is with all like every game. Every game has a vision, and that vision is particular to the people who are making it. Yeah. And if those and there's a great quote that's on the CEO of Arrowhead Studios social media, which is the guys who make Helldivers, where he says, "A game for everyone is a game for no one."
Yeah.
And I like that quote because it kind of points out the fact that you're going to have to make a game that fulfills the audience representation, or like for people who you want to play. And I think that is a great way of putting it, as like, who the fuck is this current FPS for? Who the fuck plays this? It's no one's FPS, and that's the problem.
It's not a Battlefield player's FPS. It's not a COD player's FPS. It's not an Apex Legends FPS. It's not a Siege player's FPS. It's not a CS:GO player's FPS. It's not an Armor FPS. I don't know what FPS this is.
It's not even Tribes or Unreal or Tournament or Quake. It's none of those either. Like it's like, who the fuck is this for? Anyways, Nick, your thoughts on the DCs?
What?
Distribution centers.
Distribution centers. I played a game, an MMORPG that was an open world PvP game called Arcade. Some people might know it.
Yeah,
and be familiar with it.
Made on CryEngine.
CryEngine.
It's the same. Yeah.
That game I would consider a masterclass for game devs for how to build an open world PvE PvP mixed game. And there is one event that I did in it that really mixed PvE and PvP well together, and that was the Abyssal Raid. And that was a massive Kraken that you came in and everyone had to fight together to fight it, and then everyone had to fight each other for the resources afterwards. And I think distribution centers, if they do mix the PvE and PvP balance right, it could be a really fun experience for both PvE players who aren't really looking for PvP, but then have a fun experience with it, and then kind of switching over to like, okay, this isn't so bad. I'm really hoping we get that kind of experience with it. Do I think CIG will achieve that? I don't. That's stand to tell, but I highly doubt it. What I do hope, though, is that the PvE players aren't afraid of going to the ones who don't want PvP. I hope that they balance it in a way that they are actually want to go to these distribution centers and just risk it, because it should be worth the risk to go if they don't want to seek PvP, but they know they might be PvP. I think it'd be nice if there was systems in place to determine if there was an incoming hostile attack or whatnot, for the PvE players to be like, oh, maybe I should get out of here, or should I choose to stay and fight? It really depends how CIG balances this out, and especially how the mix of PvE and PvP missions are on each distribution center to balance it out. Maybe there are some that are completely PvP focused distribution centers, where you're going to mostly be getting PvP missions, and others who are completely PvE focused missions, and it'll be like a completely mostly safe environment with a very rare PvP mission popping up on some of them. Maybe it'll be dependent on the reputation system. It would be nice to get a mix of that, but it would be nice if players could determine which one is the one they want to go to. And I don't think a PvE player or PvP player should be going into a distribution center blind without knowing what kind of environment it will be if it's in like a mostly hostile PvP environment or a mostly PvE oriented distribution center. I think it just I can't wait to see them come in. I hope they're good. I'm gonna go to them like crazy, but I do have concerns about how CIG is going to handle that balance, and I'm concerned that they won't be able to handle it well.
The idea is the reputation system's supposed to handle this, but in order for the reputation system to work properly, we need like more than stand. We need more than 1-star system, maybe 2 or 3-star systems for it to work out properly. Because people who want to PK, not necessarily piracy, but people who want to PK, they need somewhere to live that isn't their desktop in Star Citizen, because they paid for a game. They need to have a gameplay experience. If they have a rep that's so it's just so awful that they can't get into the stand system, they need Pyro to have a base to launch from, to raid into Pyro or raid into Stanton to do shenanigans, right?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And if they get killed, they go to Klesher, they get broken out. Their safe space is going to be Pyro, right?
Just like how PvE players' safe space is going to most likely be Terra and
or
high
security systems. Exactly.
Stanton isn't high security. Stanton's like the mix of both.
Yeah. I will address something, because I have somebody in chat who's concerned that we're being super negative about the game, and I do want to like emphasize something, because this is going to come up in the chats and the discussions anyways. We play a fuck ton of this game. Between the three of us, we play a lot of Star Citizen. And the reason why we're negative about this is not because the game is fundamentally this terrible experience that no one should play. If we thought that, we wouldn't be bothering talking about Star Citizen. We would be talking about something else. The reason why we're being critical of it is because Star Citizen is evolving in some ways that is good, and in some ways it is fundamentally broken and needs to be addressed, hopefully to improve it in the future. So just as I have done a lot of shows in the past talking about the good things about the things, like I think we talked fundamentally about some of the stuff last week was talking about the industry stuff and like what CIG is doing with industry stuff, and it's pretty exciting about things like cargo missions and those sorts of things, with some concerns, but like the trepidation, like cautious optimism.
Not everything that comes out of my mouth is negative. There's some stuff that I like about Star Citizen. I am looking for the new cargo hauling missions. More content for our whole sea brethren.
Yeah.
And our Herc C2s and whatnot.
Actually get a mission that makes you load up and actually use their cargo space.
Yeah. And we
use those tractor beams.
We're good. We've all, like, I enjoy Siege of Orison. I just wish Siege of Orison was just a little tighter. It's fun to play. And there are moments of fun in Star Citizen that just make you go, sit there and go, God damn, that's great. But the problem is that those moments often come too far in
you have to go through a sludge of bullshit to get to those moments. And Siege of Orison can be such a better experience even in its current state, but they make it that you gotta go from A to B to C, and you can't just go from A to C or anywhere depending on where the current flow of the game is. It's just like, no, you start from here and you gotta walk and run across all over again, and it's just like, this is a bad game experience.
All right. I'll just talk about my opinions on DC before we get into the question and answer sessions, which is I think the DCs are a good idea. I think they're a good concept. I think they can really expand from them. I have some questions about stealth missions, because one of the problems they're like, oh yeah, well you can choose to go stealth. I'm like, that's a big word, choose. Choose is doing a lot of lifting there, CIG.
Yes.
Because
it's gonna be like instant fail if you get seen by an enemy, like the mission's just over.
If that's the case, then that's fine. It's a stealth mission. But if stealth is optional, there's the old gamer meme joke. When stealth is optional, you just load up and just shoot everything. Yeah. So
I think I have that meme, Paul. I'm looking at your Discord.
I would really like it if stealth missions were an automatic fail if you got caught. Like you got caught, you gotta escape now. Because you failed that mission. Like you were supposed to not get caught, and that was your one objective, and you didn't do that.
Yeah.
I feel like it should be harsh if you want to actually go down the stealth route. But with the time to kill and FPS changes, How am I supposed to kill an enemy with a suppressor on it when it takes 5 shots?
Oof, I
Yeah.
know, right?
Like
Not with a
like
suppressed pistol, maybe with a
like
suppressed
suppressed pistol
bazooka.
headshot. You're not getting an insta kill on that. Like
Yeah,
hello, like
if you're mag dumping LMG rounds into a chest of an enemy and then killing that kills them. That doesn't mean that a suppressed pistol is going to do much, but you know. So there's definitely some questions about those sort of missions I'd love to see. I mean, I really have to play them myself to be able to kind of judge for background. But I like the idea, and I like the idea of mixing PvE and PvP. I still have concerns though about like little Johnny Noob who's got their first box mission rocking up to a DC because the mission told him to go to that DC and just so happens to be unlucky because that DC is about to get A2 carpet bombed by a PvE PvP.
Oh, it's gonna be
group.
like we saw this in World of Warcraft and PvP servers where people would just wait outside and gank people who are turning missions. They
what?
figure out where missions are turned in for certain people, and they just wait right by the mission giver, and they'd stab people in the back, and you have this pile of corpses just
Or they
forming
just kill
around
the
the
mission giver and
Yeah.
just be like, bye.
Yeah. So there's definitely some questions about balance for those sorts of things, and I don't think they've really addressed yet. They've just kind of been like, it'll be fine. We have very good defenses and green zones, and I'm like, yeah, but that doesn't. That's hand waving the problem rather than like dealing with like how things are going to be built, and that may be a different people. Like they just are in charge of building it, and maybe the feature team or some other person whose job is to like balance out those sorts of things. But it's definitely kind of one of those things. I like the idea. And I love the idea what they said that you can do a mission chain from one side of the building to the other. That's a great idea. I have been a big proponent of one-stop shop missions since we've had since those old box missions where you could take the tram to the outside of Lorville.
You used to be able to
Yep.
pick up a box at Port Tressler at Lorville and then deliver it to the one of the gates.
Yeah,
It was it took like 5 minutes, but you'd get 1,000 credits, which was almost nothing. But
I think all landing locations should have missions like that, where it's just like, just do this small delivery mission. If you just want to chill here and do delivery missions, go for it. Like,
you know what planet really needs to have that, where it's like local deliveries. ArcCorp.
Architect?
yeah, both of them. But ArcCorp for sure.
ArcCorp for sure should be delivery hub central, where they have to like hire people to deliver stuff all over the place, all sorts of cargo. It's hazardous, stationary. You know, couriers should be all over ArcCorp, in my opinion.
So yeah, I'm cautiously optimistic for it. I need to see more how things are because CIG is really pushing them. They seem to be really being like, this is our solution to FPS and this is the future of FPS gameplay. And it's
I'm happy that they're coming. I'm happy that they're existing. I'm happy we're getting more unique locations in Star Citizen because it takes away from underground bunkers and gives you a new place to go visit. So you don't get fatigued on like the same art. Same with like the wrecked outposts and whatnot. It's just a different place to visit.
Yeah.
So
more diversity.
more diversity. It's never a bad thing. Look, Vertigo is positive. I like something in Star Citizen. Yeah.
So I think that's going to end our discussion for now. We're going to take a few minutes to use the restroom, grab something to drink because we've been talking for I don't even know how long at this point. It's an hour and 32 minutes. So we might get that 4-hour captain's table after all. But let's move on from that, and let's move on to the question and answer session. And for those of you, just hold on. Make sure you can ask questions in the chat. The little gold the gold coin icon in the bottom left. You click redeem captain's table question, and you'll be able to ask questions. So we'll be right back. Don't go anywhere. Welcome back to the question and answer session. You missed us talking about Blasto. Vertigo is making from Mass Effect 3. He was making a Blasto reference. You know,
there's a boomer reference, right? Mass Effect is a game for boomers.
They are making a new Mass Effect, apparently, somehow, that I've not seen anything other than a CG trailer for.
I know. Well, it's just like I don't know what they're going to do with that because BioWare is not BioWare anymore.
It's not
BioWare. No,
it's like a completely different company.
Which is not necessarily a bad thing. Like the
bad thing.
Are you certain? Because there's Anthem. There was Mass Effect Andromeda.
What I'm saying is that I don't even think that the people who ran BioWare back when those things happened are the same BioWare. I think it's a completely new company.
It's changed twice. It's changed from a good BioWare to a bad BioWare to we'll see.
But like the company that built the Bungie who built Halo is not the same Bungie that built all of the Destinies. Like they're two different companies, and they have their problems.
Activision was the bad guy until Bungie bought it and turned out they were the bad guy.
They were a bad guy. Yeah. So, yeah. All right, let's answer some of these questions. The first one is from Northern Trooper, who says, what games have surprised you in 2024 so far, and what games do you look forward to playing this year? I mean, we're all going to say Helldivers. I don't know if Nick's played any Helldivers. Have you been fighting for freedom?
I don't have Helldivers yet.
Okay.
So I haven't played that yet.
It surprised me about how rapidly popular it has become. Because I always thought it was going to be a good, fun experience, but it is absolutely exploding, and I don't know why. Like it's good, but
even because of even with all the jank and like the connection issues and the crashing, people still they're salivating. Same with Pal World. Pal World came out of fucking nowhere. Yeah. Like it just showed up one day and everybody's just like Pal World Vertigo. And I'm just the fuck is that?
Do you want to know why?
Why?
They made a fun game.
Well, that's the thing. I think Pal World is an example because Pal World is a direct response to the open world Pokemon games sucking.
Yeah.
Because it's Pokemon. It's not just Pokemon with guns. It's Pokemon meets Ark Survival Evolved, and it works and it's fun. It's engaging. But I played Enshrouded. Enshrouded is good. It's just very samey. Like I've played this game many times before. It's not as good as I thought it was going to be. But I don't know. Is there any other game that you've played so far this year, Vertigo, that surprised you?
I'm trying to think of what I played this year. Lies of P was pretty good. Dark Souls like game.
Dark Souls Pinocchio.
Yep, basically Dark Souls Pinocchio Souls. That surprised me how decent it was. I can't think of anything else recently that I played.
Yeah, I would say Helldivers and Enshrouded were fun. Enshrouded was fun. I couldn't get past the initial. It's like it just felt like a lot of grind rather than progression. So it was just kind of like, in terms of games that I'm looking forward to, it's Manor Lords. Manor Lords is absolutely my number one looking forward to, and that's coming out soon, so I'm looking forward to that. Any game you're looking forward to, Vertigo?
Oh man, I would say Shadow of the Erd Tree, but I don't know. Elden Ring was such a slog. I'll probably end up playing it anyways.
Nick,
Stalker 2, yeah.
The only really game I've played getting into this year has been Pal World. I played a lot of Pal World.
And it obviously surprised you because it's just fun.
Yeah, it didn't surprise me that Pal World was popular because it definitely ripped on Pokemon, and it definitely is just a fun game. Like if you play it, you're just gonna have fun. Like you're gonna have a fun experience. Like shooting Pikachus everywhere. Hello, yes, I'll take that. Shoot that little rat.
Enslave them.
Enslave them, make it work for yourself, and just the Depresso. It's just like that's the most relatable Pokemon I've ever seen. This is excuse me.
Gosh, the darkest thing I've seen this year is probably a Pal World where it's like one of those dead pals that was like tied to a post with a sign next to it that says
underneath of it instead of fire.
And then the sign next to it said you are replaceable. Keep working.
God.
You are replaceable. And it was like,
Jesus.
damn.
A really funny thing though with Power World is if you have a hot spring and you have a depresso, the way depresso goes into the hot spring is he'll just float there like he's dead. And like he just drowned himself in the hot spring. And that's why he just floats face down in the hot spring, and that's how he's taking a bath.
So is there any games you're looking forward to, Nick?
This year, there's nothing really on my radar. For other games, that is, I haven't really looked too much at what's coming out this year. Yeah, nothing really too exciting. I feel like 2023, all the big games came out, and now I'm just kind of exhaling with all the games and just kind of taking a break from
Just vibing.
looking at all the big game releases, if there's any this year. I'm more looking forward to movies this year, like Deadpool 3, than games, honestly.
Dune Part 2. That's next week.
Yeah,
That's next Friday. So
Yep.
Yeah, I'm gonna go see that for free.
nice.
Well, not for free points, but whatever.
Yeah, it's free for you. Yeah. Northern Trooper asks, should CIG have an in-space with no gravity FPS event in the PU with the new EVA system, i.e. board the Idris with no artificial gravity? Sure.
Yeah,
Yeah,
sure.
why not? Yeah, I mean, technically, like they're gonna will not have an FPS event, but the PI system, the PI mission will still be there. You know, get to do that in EVA T2. A lot of the zero G investigations, zero G T2, like there's a lot of uses for it. You know, boarding other players that are soft death in space, you're going to all be in EVA T2, so it'll be good.
Yeah.
But an event around it, I'd like to see how they do that. But yeah, why not?
I mean, I would just make a Star Citizen or a Arena Commander Star Marine map. It's just EVA. That'd be a good.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yep. Do it.
That'd be better because I think that would be an event that people would actually play. You know,
Throw in waves of NPCs that you have to kill too with FPS. I'd love that too. Test the FPS AI.
We've all been waiting for Horde mode with Arena Commander forever. So we've been waiting for Pirate Swarm FPS. So, all right.
I'm not ready for Vanduul and FPS yet.
Oh God, I am no, you are. So for those who don't know, I read monthly reports, and there's a running joke in my monthly report reads that Star Citizen, whenever they bring up the Vanduul, I should at this point just put Dark Souls music in the background, because CIG basically said, hey, what's a good FPS or what's a good like melee combat system that's really tough? Dark Souls. Okay, let's make the Vanduul mini Dark Souls bosses, complete with animation sweeps and counters and rolls. So it is like, and it sounds terrifying because these things are 9 feet tall and they're fast. So you're going to like, you think bullets your enemies are spongy now. Well, wait until you shoot at it with like, you know, mag dump an LMG into it and it still doesn't stop, you know, kind of stuff.
And it's still running at you.
Yeah, wanting to stab you with a spear. Yeah, we are not ready for Vanduul FPS. All right. Next question comes from Fenrir Firestar, who asks, I apologize if this question's already been asked. It hasn't. But how do you feel about the Idris event, specifically the aspect of the inner ship combat? I heard some people had issues with lag and connection issues, which gets into the netcode. Should events like this, such as with such a janky connection, not offer such big rewards? So with all the bugs and other issues, should they be offering an Idris with all the problems that exist?
I think this is the worst event. This is worse than the F8 Platinum ticket. Like, this is such a terrible event that this should be the final time they ever do an event like this. In my opinion, it shouldn't. These type of events should not be run like this. They should not happen like this. I feel like this kind of contest should be reserved for video content submissions and the kind of submission content, not this arbitrary spend time on a server. If you're lucky enough, 9 out of 10 players aren't going to be able to even see the mission pop up.
Yeah,
like
it's a feels
so
bad. It's a feels bad. It's like you can prepare yourself and get psyched up, and then you spend 20 hours in the game and you don't even find one. It's like
Morphologist earlier, he was looking for a game with multiple people. He has a big org. They're all spread across multiple servers. They weren't able to get an Idris mission, and the Idris mission is spawned and dependent on when a dev wakes up and actually decides to start the mission. With no time schedule, no time slot. We don't know when it's starting. We don't know these times for this event, and it's just so terrible.
Me and Loken spent 8 hours waiting for one. And the feels bad is that Loken spent about 4 hours setting things up, 4 to 6 hours setting everything up, like getting like weapons and armor and getting ships prepared and getting them loaded out and getting everyone, getting 15 people together and in game and in comms and getting everything ready. And we finally got to the like looking for them and we started waiting, and the ship that he stored all of that stuff on got destroyed. It just disappeared. It just got eaten by the
Let me tell you something. Everybody, like, I don't know who told us we were being too negative, but they need to cover their ears now because I'm going to be really negative.
Okay. To be fair, I will say that the reason why they're negative is because they've only been in the game for about 2 weeks, and they're like, I'm feeling really, really bad about like did I just get tricked into a shitty game? It's like no, but we're going.
Someone was accusing us of being too negative, but they need to cover the ears because I'm going to be about to say something really negative right now. Star Citizen is like a boyfriend or girlfriend that cheats on you. They're not worth the effort.
Yeah.
Like, you found out they cheated and you caught them with your best friend or something, and they want to get back together after a couple of months. You're like, oh, fine, let's get dressed up. Let's go out to a nice dinner. We're going to pay like, $100 a plate, $200 a plate dinner, and then we're going to go to the opera. They're not worth that effort. You take them to McDonald's after work, right? After you get off work, you take them over to McDonald's, you buy them a fucking Big Mac, and then you make them split the bill or some shit.
You don't even sit and dine in. You just go through the drive-through.
Yeah, drive-through.
Like, we're not even sitting there. We're going to go back and just in the car.
That's how much effort Star Citizen right now in its current state deserves. This Idris mission requires a lot of forethought and planning and organization, or you just have to get a gigantic posse. Like, the mission spawns on your server, you have to get to a Discord call at everybody in your fucking Discord. The Idris has spawned, everybody get in, and everybody's like, I'm at work right now. Yeah. And you get a lot of people like, why'd you at me? Like, I'm in bed. Yeah. Like, I'm having sex with your wife. And
God,
we're gonna take her to McDonald's later.
That escalated quickly. Okay.
Like, Star Citizen does require, like Paul said, Star Citizen does require a lot of preparation. For a game mode like Capture the Idris that requires space combat and then FPS combat afterwards, you have to successfully disable the Idris. You then have to get inside the Idris, then you have to clear out the Idris. It requires you to get set up and do that. But Star Citizen is not a game that respects your time right now. Like, you not only do you have like PvP shenanigans happening, I haven't even seen the goddamn Idris yet, right?
Yeah.
Like, ever since CIG started, I'm not giving Star Citizen the time of day right now. If the Idris spawns when I'm online and streaming, yeah, sure, let's go look at it. Let's go see what we can do over there. I'll do it just for content. But I'm not going to put a lot of effort in capturing the damn thing. Right? What the hell am I going to do with an Idris, right? I already have a frigate. I already have an 890 jump. I don't need another big goddamn ship that CIG's not going to put NPCs in the game for their 5 years anyways.
You can also tell how much forethought they put into this Capture the Idris event, because even if you do capture it and you drive it and fly it around, people figure out very quickly, oh, I could just go fly it to an armistice zone and be chill.
And CIG had to,
and then they had to update the rules. Like, no, wait, no, you can't do that. It's just like,
time out. We're gonna change the rules, everybody. No. We wanted really good Instagram and Twitch and YouTube content. We don't want you guys just parking the Idris in like Grim Hex's hangar.
We want this for marketing, not for not for you guys to like cheat the system.
It's not to win a free $1,600 ship.
It's also the other problem is that someone reported that one group managed to figure out how to make it so that they could get the Idris to a point where you can't quantum to it.
Yeah,
like just out of the map. They clipped it out of the map so no one could get in. Yeah,
they got it like 2 million kilometers off the off stand or something.
Off the axis. Since they got it off axis, no one can quantum over there.
In order for it, you would actually quantum to a point that's like has a quantum marker. Like, you have to cut your engines and stop close by, then spool up your quantum drive and quantum, and then cut your engines. Yeah. There's a process. But if you get off axis, you basically have to fly there for several hours.
Yeah.
And we don't have free quantum right now. Maybe when Master Mode comes out, we'll have that nav mode where you can actually just, go really fast.
Oh, they went up.
Yeah.
But they can't go up. We go down.
Yeah, they went completely off axis, and so they were just sitting there. It's like, it's The
I
problem,
don't like the really expensive ship for free. I don't like the really expensive ship to begin with. The fact that CIG's giving away a really expensive ship that you're not going to be able to fly for several years is also kind of
Yep.
You know.
I feel like the best of course of action for a mission like this in the future would be to just tie it with the completion of a mission gang. Like,
Oh, we already
if
have
they
that.
ju-
It's called
if
the
they just
Arlington Gang mission.
yeah, if they just made the Arlington Gang Idris mission, if they just added an extra little thing on that that you add, they actually added the interior, actually made it that you had to disable it, board it, and kill the guy. Then when you complete that mission, everyone just gets entered into a giveaway.
Yeah.
You get entered into a giveaway, and a random lucky drawer.
That would
will be
require
won.
CIG to put effort into their missions, though.
A lot
right?
less effort than what they're doing right now. Freaking running around, starting missions, and actually running them
Well,
themselves.
I don't know. This is like super easy. You just have a dev that connects to a server. They spawn an Idris with NPCs in it, and they just fly it around until people show up, and they just turn their engines off and let the players do whatever they want, right?
Yeah, but there's what 1100 devs. Of those, let's just say, let's be generous and say a 16th of them are actually doing this. That's a small number of people over the course, and they know that they have an active player base of millions, and they're trying to entice people to come back. But like when we waited for years, we waited for years. When we waited for hours on Friday when I was hanging out with Loken. Like I knew when Loken told me, "Hey, we're going to try capture an Idris," and I saw what it actually was, I'm like, "We probably shouldn't do this." And he's like, "Oh, we'll have fun and let's try it." I'm like, "I don't think you understand. Like, it's not going to spawn for us. Like, it just won't exist. We're just going to sit around for 6 hours staring at each other."
Yep.
And the problem about that is and I know a lot of people say this is for streamers. This is the worst content for streamers, where you have to prepare for 6 hours, and you have 6 hour stream of you just staring at a loading screen or staring at a menu. That is not content.
Get used to talking about nothing for 6 hours.
Yeah.
I know there's streamers out there who could do that. They could just go on and on and on for like 6 hours.
They're just going to like just chatting with the chat. Right?
That's me.
But,
I mean, I can do that, but like at the same time, I could also be doing that and playing the game, like trading or smuggling or doing bounty missions. Like this is
like
not
as a streamer, you're there
engaging.
to play the game and have the fun. That's your goal, not to be chatting with chat. Not
So-
that it's a bad thing to be chatting with chat.
We're doing it right now,
That's
but yeah.
not what you're there for.
It's the problem comes down to, like, if it was built for streamers, like the community says, it's built poorly. If it's built for players, it's built poorly. It's just a bad idea. And like, I don't think there's a single person out there who thinks this is a wonderful idea. Most of the people I've seen who defend it say, well, I think this is because this is the only way CIG can do X. And I think that even those are kind of weak arguments. Like, oh, this is how they're testing this, or testing boarding, or testing interior. Like, there's ways you could do that, but CIG chose not to. It feels lazy. It feels like a lazy engagement attempt. That's what it does. It feels like a very lazy, tacked on.
Desperate. CIG selling the F8C 3 times, and they're like, "Hey, we're gonna give away a free Idris if you just created some Instagram content for us."
And even if it's not meant to, even if it's meant as CIG kind of going, "Hey, this is a cool idea, let's do it," it comes across as like this sort of, "Please pay attention to me." Notice
me, senpai.
Yeah. While we still have 2 months to wait until like the next patch, so it's like.
They're engagement farming. That's what what they're trying to do. They're trying to do engagement farming just to kind of bolster numbers, and it's not working on the game side. It's just not.
No.
It's not working for me. Let me clarify that.
Yeah. And I don't think it's working for a lot of people, because I don't know very many people who've completed it, even like content creators who've completed this, who had a good experience. Like even Mike didn't have a good experience, even though he managed to like, I think they managed to board it anyways. Most of the people I've seen in chat who've managed to do it said, like, yeah, they walked around and they clipped out of the ship and died. Like, so it's like, I don't know, Anyways, moving on to the next one. Northern Trooper asks, do you think we'll get a different HUD information for different weapon types? Sniper will have a built-in range. Grenade launcher will show arch. Maybe. I think CIG can do that with their new systems. But
the scopes have range finding in them. Like some scopes
Yeah.
have actual rangefinders. They'll actually
You
tell
can
you how
see
far
them.
away your target is.
Yeah.
Some scopes don't. Some scopes have the ability to actually have a laser rangefinder where you press a button and it actually sets the
Exact
bullet
range.
exact actually where
Yeah.
you're going. Some of them you have to like count up by 100 meters, and some of them are just like what you see is what you get. You have to figure out how high you have to hold above your target to actually hit it.
Yeah, the scope on the P6, if you hit page up, it'll zero to the exact range you're at, up to 2 kilometers.
Yeah, it'll zero it perfectly.
I would love to see some grenade launching sites in the game for like longer range engage, for like the GP33, so you can actually like, there was a
Let's
game.
lob them like a mortar.
There was a game. I'm trying to remember the game. Like was Soldener or something, or is like Operation Rising, Typhoon Rising or something. There was a game out there that had that. They actually had actual grenade sites you could adjust, and it would actually raise the barrel of the gun so you could actually like shoot over stuff and hit grenades at farther ranges.
So, yeah, but I mean, I think they could probably add additional information, but I don't know what you would add. I mean, personally, I'd love to see like a bullet counter for some of them, because like some of them don't have bullet counters, and
Actually, a lot more guns have bullet counters now. Like
Yeah.
the Custodian, the Arclight, there's
Yeah,
Demico.
but-
A lot more
but,
guns
like-
are getting bullet counters now.
But like I don't think the P4 has a bullet counter or anything else like that. So like if you had like a way that you could add an additional like a bullet counter like to the HUD would be cool. But like, I mean, I don't really know else what it'd be at. So, all right. Next question comes from Maxol, who asks, should B have towns linked by roads on planets for future? Example, planets, Microtech, planet Hurston, like those on the ground. Max's English isn't his first language, so it's he's trying to translate it. But what I think he was saying is that should we have towns linked by roads on planets?
Yes.
You don't want to drive to 600 kilometers.
Don't tell me what I don't want to do. Don't fucking tell me what I'm going to do.
Okay, like
You know how nice
I
it
don't-
would be to do that on a Gravlev bike though, with no rocks.
Rocks.
Oh my god, that'd be beautiful.
You know how
I'd do
boring it would
600
be?
Kilometers.
Yes.
I don't care. It's not about that. It's just about the experience I want.
I mean, like people want things. Gamers want things, but they don't know that they don't want those things. Right?
You know
Everybody
what?
says how roads
LTI
should
is
be.
We were
meaningless.
talking about how I did the Daymar rally earlier with 0 navigation. You're telling me I don't want a nice road to just drive on for that long?
Like I've done road trips across the surface of planets before, and it's infuriating because of all the bumps, the weird terrain, the rocks all over the place. If you got rid of all that stuff and it was just a straight shot to the next outpost, why? You get like a screwdriver and you weigh down like the W key on your keyboard and you go make a sandwich.
I think
They have that experience. It's called Desert Bus.
Yes, but I'm okay with Desert Bus and Star Citizen because you can also, when they have more NPCs, you could have people driving between the different towns like they would be.
I thought Star Citizen was supposed to be a space game.
It's a life simulator because it's a Chris Roberts game. You know this.
It's an everything game now. Just throw
Oh,
everything
fuck
in
off!
You-
I want the
you
space
knew-
part to be better.
I do too, but like at the very least, that's
it.
a
Sci-fi shows have roads.
it's not even
Very rarely.
it's not even like a fucking, they have the technology to do it. They did the rivers. It's just it's a super low tech thing that they could do that would add a lot of goodwill.
I wouldn't mind
to
like having
players.
roads around Lorville though, like
Yeah.
from Lorville going out from like the
We need
spaceport on Lorville
towns.
should have been outside of you should have had like outskirts of the town to go visit. Like
We need small
what's his
villages
name?
and towns.
Miles Eckhart should be like in like a town next to Lorville, and you have to like fly or drive over there or something.
Yeah, and a seedy bar and on like an outside bar where he's like chilling out with a margarita somewhere. Like
There's the 3 new outposts, Dunbarrow, another one. Those are
Blood
all
Ridge and-
fairly
yeah.
locally close. That if you had a road connecting all 3 of them, that wouldn't be a bad experience at all. They're fairly close to each other.
And those are the town kind of like derelict town stuff that they do.
Yeah.
I'd love to see like some actual that kind of stuff. So yeah. Anyways, I think that's one of the things that CIG had kind of mentioned once, and the community just went yes, and then
For some reason, this community just went ape shit over roads, and I'm just
but
like,
they didn't.
do you
That's the
know
thing.
what's?
We
I
didn't
don't think they
want
went ape
We
shit.
just want roads.
I think they've just been really hyped for it, but no one talks about it. It's like it's one of those things where everyone's excited for it and they mention it, but they never go on diatribes about it. You won't see someone writing a passionate article in a comment on YouTube about why roads are the most important addition to the game. But everyone wants it. It's what I've gathered. So I'm like, yeah, why not? So, sorry, go ahead. Mm-hmm. Nick, you're gonna say something.
I forget what I was gonna say now. But roads, give roads.
It'll add immersion and it adds more gameplay. It adds more kind of like fidelity to the game. It'll make things a little bit better. And you can do missions like hijack, like fly over, block the road, hijack people's stuff as to drive between point A and point B. You know.
Yeah, but also roads are one of the things where it's just like I feel like we're just like we're not in a rush for roads, but it'll be great to see them.
Yeah. When River Guy has time, stop making water less pretty than he should.
Making
we're getting pretty water. We're gonna get pretty water sometime this year, right? Because everything they showed off at CitizenCon.
Yeah, apparently.
It's gonna come out next 12 months.
Racing on the Clio racetrack, that's all water. Oh, with the new water.
I mean, knowing how CIG works, as soon as you get over the water, you're gonna sink into it and blow up.
Yeah, you do. If you done a new Gravlev racing, if you respawn on the Clio racetrack and you're too high and you drop down, they'll go into the water and explode again.
All right. QPen asks, have you seen the Idris or boarded it in the event? No, neither.
No,
I'm not even gonna look for it. No, I don't care about this event whatsoever.
Unknown Guardian asks, how could we make CIG making hellpods for us? Well, let me tell you about nails. Nails are the in-game equivalent, the in-lore equivalent to the hellpods from Helldivers. Mm-hmm. They're designed for Marines to get in and then get literally fired out of a cannon onto the ground. It's like orbit to surface in like 0.5 seconds. It's like internal intestine shifting sort of experience. But the problem is that CIG doesn't want to do it because it's military technology.
Or they don't want to do it because other games have done it. And
so it's going to be for scripted events for Squadron 42. And not a dynamic thing that players are going to get.
Yeah.
Hey, Chris Roberts, you want to make more money? You could sell us a ship that does. You could sell a drop ship that literally does that.
Yeah,
and I'm pretty sure it would sell like.
It would print. Yeah.
Yes.
It would print money.
Breaching pods you can shoot at ships and they go right to the walls.
With fucking the new Maelstrom system, it just fucking sounds like. It sounds like you could just like fire some shit at and open holes in the sides of ships. So, yeah. But yeah, no, we definitely I think that's one of those things where if CIG doesn't give it to us, players will figure it out because all that an escape pod is technically a drop pod. If you launch an escape pod in atmosphere, it might be an expensive drop pod, but people figure it out and they'll do it because why not? If they could survive.
That was actually a start to one of the missions in Mass Effect Andromeda, where one of your squad mates actually does a drop. They were like, "We can't get the ship in there. That's stupid. We don't have anything small enough." And she's like, "I got an idea." And she pulls the fucking escape pod lever. She just drops the entire squad. And they're like, "You know how much that costs? Escape pods aren't cheap."
People are going to do it anyways.
Yeah.
All right. Wiley Lee Coyote asks, do you think CIG should make a WoW Blast arena complete with the new WoW Blast rifles and grenades? Yes.
Yes. Nerf guns. Why not?
I've been saying you should have Nerf gun battle arenas for Invictus for a while because that kind of shit happens at conventions all the time for like a little Nerf battle war laser tag area done by the U.S. Army or some shit like that as a recruitment tool. Like, why not? That's fun. I always like those little touches. So, what do you think, Nick?
Lore accurate laser tag in the game? Heck yeah, that'd be fun.
Yeah,
it'd just be like the go-kart arena that we have, just within an FPS mode where it's just like, hey, this is safe for your kids. We don't use real bullets here.
Remember to sign up to defend democracy. I'm sorry, wrong universe, but same idea.
For the Empire.
Teach your kids young how to use guns so that they can join
themselves from the Vanduul fleet.
Yeah, there we go. Unknown Guardian asks, will we ever get a flamethrower in Star Citizen? Wouldn't it have a backpack or would it and if it should, okay, will we ever get a flamethrower in Star Citizen? Would it have a backpack or the gamey canister underneath?
I don't think we'll
Yes.
ever will because it'd have to like deal with a lighting system, and if we do, it'd be a canister. It wouldn't be a backpack.
Yeah, I can see it. We got fire coming in. We got fire extinguishers coming in. I see no reason why to not have a fire flamethrower.
I mean, a fire extinguisher is just the flamethrower, but opposite, right?
Yeah,
Yes.
it's just the opposite of the flamethrower. So just add that. That makes it add fire, and we got a flamethrower, and you can get flame that spreads around and set people on fire. I mean, I see it coming eventually, but
CIG
not
loves to
immediately.
burn things. I do wonder how many of the CIG devs worked on Far Cry 2 because like they love fire. So and that game was known for its fire. So who knows?
Far Cry 3 had a good fire map when they played what the one Skrillex song with Bob Marley, and you're just burning the fields of
Weed. Yeah. Am I crashing? I'm fine. I'm fine. Okay. Had a weird drop situation. Hold on. Is it coming back?
No.
It's coming back. It's coming back. Okay. Yeah.
Oh no. Okay.
There you go. We're all back. Full back.
Really?
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah. Which is weird. But yeah. The I'm sure CIG will come up with something, because the one thing you can count on, which kind of pisses me off, is that if CIG thinks it's cool, they'll do it.
Mm-hmm.
And that's to the detriment of the development, is that sometimes CIG is like, this is cool. It's like, but it means nothing and does nothing for the game.
But
It's cool. So
yep.
that is the driving force behind their development, it seems like sometimes. So
The feature creep.
Max asks, could we expect a release of the Idris to the players when the Polaris comes out in game this year? They said specifically that it'll come out when Squadron 42 is out. So I don't think we're going to see a player-owned Idris.
Same thing with the F8, so who knows? Probably.
I know. It's just,
CIG's word.
If CIG needs more money, they'll release the Idris however they got it.
Look at the whole scene.
You know how I know the F8C was released as like a grab deal, as a cash grab? Because it wasn't complete.
Yeah.
It doesn't have access to all the components. Like the Sulin does, and what was the other ship, the other alien ship that came out recently?
Santok
The Santok Yai. The Santok Yai has access to all its components. You open the ship up, and it's like, whoop, oh, there's the power plant, there's the shield generators, there's all this other stuff. Same with the Sulin. The F8C comes out, and it's like the Cutlass. It's not complete. It's not gold standard.
Yeah. Yep. Well, and the other thing is I could see CIG releasing the Idris when they announce Squadron 42, probably at CitizenCon, only because the whole C was released basically broken and has been basically broken since then. And the reason why the whole C was released was because CIG had finished it and were just diddling with it, just being like, well, a little bit here. But they were basically done with it in Squadron like a year before it was released. And the monthly reports, they're basically like, it's done. We touched it up a little bit more. It's done. We've touched it up more. It's done. Like, it was just every week, every month, it was the whole C is finished again. And
the whole reason they just didn't want to bring it in is because they just didn't have the cargo lifts in. And they still brought it in before the cargo lifts, because they're just like, let's just shoehorn in some weird patch, like taped together thing to make it have some cargo work.
Because we're tired of sitting on the back end, and it'll give us a
publicity just like, instead
boot.
of just like, how about you just release it and wait for the actual gameplay to come in? It's not like you haven't done that before with all the other ships.
Yeah. It's and so, yeah, because of the whole C and because of the F8, I wouldn't be surprised if they did it if the CIG felt like they needed to make some money. Or if they thought it was cool. Like, either way, because CIG, again, those are the two things that CIG teams go. And I personally believe that the driving motivation for CIG tends to be, is it cool? And then the money thing just happens to be, they never miss a chance to unmonetize, is the rule. So, all right. Swords in Star Citizen, weapon/utility or decorative item. I have been a proponent of melee weapons in Star Citizen since just practically day one, because you are off. Most engagements in Star Citizen are going to be at a very close range, if you're like boarding ships. And there's a rule, I forgot the name of it, but there's a general rule of thumb about engaging with weapons with somebody with a melee weapon. That like they teach it to cops and stuff like that, where it's like, depending on how close you are to your target, will determine if you survive or not. And it is surprisingly how fast someone can close the distance. When you're trying to pull out a gun, they can close the distance really fucking fast. And before you can get your gun out and fire it and accurately, they can stab you to death pretty quickly.
Yes. There's I can't remember the name of it either, but there's like 20 feet.
Yeah, there's a rule for it. The 20-foot rule. Yeah. So like, yeah. So as a result, because 20 feet is pretty much what like the maximum length of a corridor in Star Citizen, an axe would be perfect in Star Citizen universe, because you could just round the corner, charge someone before they pull their gun out, and then just dome them instantly with a melee weapon. Though with the current system, you'd have to hit them like 7 times before they'd go down. But like I think
swords.
Laser swords.
I mean, that lead credence to to why CIG increased the time to kill with guns, because they want swords in their game to be actually deadly.
Well, they do have melee weapons in Squadron. There are NPCs that have unique melee weapons. I'm
imagining melee weapons are going to be like maybe a 1 or 2 hit kill, but guns are going to be a lot harder to use. So make the Vandal more threatening.
Yeah, they will be also changing the melee takedowns to actually be like a tap to like overcome them.
Yeah.
So I'll be interested to see how that comes to Star Citizen, and if that's going to have a counter, so that you have to fight the other person to like get the knife away, and then like kind of do like a counter knife stab to them. So they did that with Battlefield 4.
Mm-hmm.
I remember that system. That was fun.
I remember the counter system. You could counter if they did it. Yeah. But yeah, I think it can be cool, and it would be work in terms of game. But as a utility decorative item, cool. That's rule of cool. Having a sword is cool, and running around a battlefield in the 30th century on top of your tank wielding a sword is probably what most people want to do anyways, because it's like that 40K vision of the future that people want to do just for funds. But
when I think of a tank and a sword, I think of that one episode of The Walking Dead.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or everyone's favorite crazy World War II general, the British Church. It was Churchill's son or Churchill's brother, who charged Normandy Beach with a fucking broadsword. So, like that sort of crazy shit. So, yeah. Anyways, what do y'all think? What do you think, Vertigo? Swords in Star Citizen, utility or
God,
or decorative?
I'd rather them to be like just like stuff you hang up. They're ceremonial, essentially. Stuff you put up on your, on your Idris's, your captain's quarters or something, and it's just a badge of office or something. Knives should be more utility or whatnot. But CIG, they want knives to be a thing, so they're dangerous. You can stab people with them. And like, don't even get me started on the crossbow. Ugh.
Oh yeah, that's a thing that's going to be coming eventually.
Yeah. Nick, same thing.
I would like to see both the utility and just the decoration for swords and other melee weapons. I would just like to see more melee weapons come in. I think that should always be a combat option, and maybe that's one that's more readily available or closer by. Just yeah, I'm all for it. How CIG does it in the current state, I don't know, but maybe CIG. You know what? No, CIG shouldn't do that. Don't do that, CIG.
It would make it worse.
You'll make it worse. Don't touch it.
So Chad has corrected me, which is he's no relation to Winston Churchill. He was called Mad Jack Churchill, and he wasn't a general. So yeah, and apparently he had a longbow as well that he stormed the Normandy Beach with. So. Anyway, next question comes from Max, who says, why CIG don't play a group of person official CIG to play with good rig and stream content, like MSI streaming content, to put stuff forward. It's hard to. It's Max.
I think I understand. Like what? Like why don't
they should partner with
team?
like NVIDIA or something, and then NVIDIA gives them a good
stuff to give away. Like instead of doing like a Idris, they can give away like a rig or something like that.
That wouldn't make it any better.
I mean, honestly, if CIG wanted to do some engagement stuff, they could partner with the content creators, give them access to the Idris and say, hey, we want you to play these games at this time period, and everyone's going to try to take it from you. Like, that would be at least engaging the community in a way that's not just, we're going to get some developers on at 2 o'clock in the morning to try to play. But that would still piss off the community, because they would be like, the streamers get to have access to the Idrises before everyone else. But at least it would be
even if CIG just gave, they're going to do this anyway. They're just going to give all the streamers an Idris anyway, and just let them fly around and show it off anyway. They do that with every single ship anyway.
Every ship that releases, we get for free for a little while.
I don't think you guys understand how much streamers are leveraging like streamers for how much profit they're getting and how little profit streamers they're getting from CIG. You guys are getting a terrible deal from CIG's use of your marketing tools. Like, oh my God.
But it would
all
be
they gotta do is give you a little free shit to give away, and you're like, yes, CIG, I'll do that. All your marketing for you.
Yeah, I mean, it's nice. But
I'm saying that as there's 2 streamers
who get stuff, you know. If we reach 16 hours, so we're at 12 hours 20 minutes. If we get another 2 hours, I'll give away something from CIG.
Just saying.
But I mean, like, stuff like that is at least engaging the community more than, you know, what we have. But I don't know. I think it's one of those things where it's like, I just think this was a bad idea all over. This event, this Idris thing was was a bad idea from the start. So, all right. Godspeed asks, we have 2 more questions. Is the quantum system going to be getting any changes? I dislike having to shut off my ship flying to derelict outposts, or having to fly directly to a planet before being able to fly to a moon. Yes.
Several changes coming up. Master mode is going to get. I think Master mode is coming in 3.2.3 to every ship in the game.
Yeah,
that's going to add That's going to add nav mode, and I think free quantum, which is going to be basically your spline.
No,
that's
not coming in.
That's not. That's called quantum boost, and it's not coming in this. No.
Okay, so but eventually quantum boost is coming.
Yes.
So that's going to be a change. The change I know is definitely coming is the new star map, which is going to change how you maneuver around. They may like add because I know there was a bug report on the latest patch notes for 3.2.1, where they said certain outposts didn't have quantum beacons. But CIG is going to change, the new star map is going to change how we move around a little bit, and then Master Mode is going to come out, and then eventually Quantum Boost is going to get added, and I'm sure even more. And then they talked about it years ago. I don't know if they're still planning to do it, but planets are supposed to orbit around the star, and they were going to have like quantum splining, where you had to like set a destination to a planet, and you're going to have to arrive basically where the planet's orbiting. Your ship's going to have to go, arrive where the planet's going to be. Yeah. When you can't just go at the planet when you engage your quantum drive like we do now, because the planet's not going to be there by the time you arrive. There. Yeah. Oh, so you have to go where the planet.
That's just an update over time. That's not hard to do.
No. So, but the big thing is the quantum boost, because the quantum boost will let you just free quantum anywhere you want to.
But it's going to be at your spline speeds. Like it's not going to be super fast.
I think it's a maximum range too. I think it's like 30,000 or
well, we had that too, where your quantum drive just slowly overheated over time. So we've messed with range limits on quantum before. So they're.
But it's effectively a fast travel to the planet. So instead of having to slow fly like 40 kilometers to your location, you can quantum, and then when you get within, you can just quantum boost directly to it. But it's more of a mini game. Like you're gonna have to keep the dot inside the other dot, and like keep it in the range, keep it in the navigational.
If you played Elite Dangerous, the quantum interdiction mechanic in Elite Dangerous is somewhat similar to what CIG's doing.
It's almost the exact same mechanic. It's literally just like fly away from where you need to be, or fly into where you need to be.
Sometimes I'm okay with CIG finally not trying to reinvent the wheel and just doing what works. So. So that will cut down on travel times, and you will be able to like fly to unmarked locations. Like if you got a mission map area over here, you can fly to it with your quantum boost. So Unknown Guardian. Last question. who says, add on to the flamethrower question. Would you be surprised if CIG were like, yeah, we won't give you a flamethrower, but here's a heat ray heat beam? No, I'm not. I wouldn't be surprised at that.
No.
I don't.
I mean, maybe
a melt-a-gun is what he's talking about from 40K.
Melt-a-gun.
Yeah, it's.
We have some sort of laser weapon. We already do.
A
do it with a Demico.
Yeah, and the
multi-tool has like a laser cutter.
Yeah, and then there's the there was a microwave cannon that was that made at one point that made by Castak, which is kind of like a heavy like weapon. So yeah,
and of course you have the Prospector mining beam and the mining beam for the Grey Cat rock, and I mean I'm sure we're gonna have some sort of a handheld mining beam you'll use in Squadron 42 against the Van Duel, because you'll have a stealth section. The only weapon you have is like this some big ass fucking mining beam you have to like hulk around.
But it's like as they develop different damage types and stuff like that, I could see something like that. But as someone else pointed out in chat, is like flamethrower is probably not a good idea because they're hard to balance and people will just spam them on your ships and then your ship is on fire. And there's no counter to it. It's not a fun counter.
Fire extinguisher is the counter to it.
Yeah, but you have to have it on hand.
And killing the person who has a flamethrower.
Yeah, but you have to kill the person and then you're on fire while that's happening. So yeah.
Well, that's a situation.
Yeah. Wait, CIG did CIG not show the use of flamethrower to heat something and kill that bug once? What?
Oh, they did with the visualization. It wasn't actual gameplay. It was an actual visualization of how they were showing how some components could overheat and you might need to use a freeze gun, and some components can be freezing and be going too cool, and you have to use a flamethrower.
Okay.
They use a flamethrower, for example, to just heat it up to get it back to running. And they did that with a visual example, not an act. It was an ISC where they said they just let the visual effects team, the video capture team, go wild.
Go wild, yeah.
Okay. I think it was the same.
I remember you're talking about.
Yeah, I think it was the same one with the toilet exploding.
Yeah, it was the one where they went kind of nuts, and it was like there was like the bug, instead of having like the component, they had like a giant bug. That was they were heating and cooling. So yeah, I don't think that was a real flamethrower though. I think it was just an asset that they turned into a flamethrower because they like added effects to it. But
yeah, they just added a flamethrower effect to it just to mess around. They're like, they just went crazy.
That is the last question. Thank you all for joining us here at the captain's table. I still have 2 hours and 25 minutes. I've been streaming for over 12 hours now, so my brain is turning into mush. But yeah, I want to thank Nick and Vertigo for coming on to talk, to body CIG's FPS gameplay for a couple hours. I promise we're not always this negative, but it does happen often when Nick and Vertigo come on. I know this, but
I'm usually not so negative. Usually I'm not, but then FPS is legitimately so bad I'm negative.
Yeah.
And I'm negative about it.
I will say that these two probably played more FPS than a lot of other people I know. Most other people I know either try to focus on like industrial gameplay or fighter. Like there's not a ton of dedicated FPS players in Star Citizen. So I knew I'd get an honest, earnest look at it from these two, and it sounds really bad. So, but with all that said, thank you for watching. Make sure you check out Nick on his YouTube and his Twitch. Hey, it's Nick. And then HD Vertigo on his YouTube and Twitch, HD Vertigo. And if you enjoyed this and you want to join us live, we do these live at 3 p.m. Pacific, 6 p.m. Eastern on twitch.tv/TheAstroPub, youtube.com/TheAstroPubLive on Saturdays. And if you're watching this on YouTube after the fact, I want to hear your thoughts down below. Are we being too negative about this? Have you tried the new FPS mechanics? And what are your thoughts on it? Like, you know, good and bad. And yeah. Like I say every time, hope to see you someday in the black.